Yeah, I'm fine with mine too.
Yeah,
At least my was like a 24 inch, I think.
yeah,
So,
yeah. You got a bigger one.
yep.
That's what she said. All right. Hello and welcome to the Saints of Misery one-on-one, the show where myself, Flo, and Ken here discuss things about Destiny and really any kind of video games or whatever. We've only done Destiny so far just because circumstances, but we might do other things at a later time. Who knows? Hey, Ken, how is it going?
It's doing good. It's doing good.
Good. All right, so we haven't done that in a while. I think the last video we've done was for the reveal of Witch Queen. So that was like what?
Yeah,
That was like what, 2 months ago, I think. Right?
feels like it at least. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really fun too. I'm really excited for
Mhm.
that. And today we decided to kind of sit down, have a little talk for a little bit of time, like maybe like an hour or something, and kind of review what we've played since the last time we were on a recording like that. A lot has happened in the game actually. So we got Season of the Lost, the current season, which was revealed at the same time as Witch Queen when we did the video last time. So we went through it. At this point in time in the game, we're pretty much done with the story. We're not completely done. There's still some stuff to come, but because the season is so long, um, we have reached a point where nothing is happening as far as the story goes.
Mhm.
But to kind of complement that, we have Festival of the Lost, which is kind of the Halloween event for Destiny, right? So that's how we would call it. And still a bunch of stuff happening in the game. We have news about a bunch of nerfs coming. We have news about the DCV, the Destiny Content Vault stuff going away. New stuff coming back. So yeah,
Mhm.
let's talk about all of that today. I think that could be fun.
Definitely, definitely.
All right, first off, since we're in it, while we're at it, actually, you know what? Let's go fly in. Let's go sit down. We're both in the game right now, and that was definitely not planned at all. Definitely not planned. All
Definitely not.
all improv.
Mhm.
So we're gonna fly into the helm, and I think it would be good to start with the Festival of the Lost because that's basically the main thing that's going on right now in the game.
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts about that?
Hmm. There's a lot of difference in this season versus the previous ones here for it.
There
Probably
is.
most like the biggest one here for is really just the exclusion of the haunted forests and now the inclusion of like the haunted lost sectors, which for myself personally, I've been really enjoying them. I mean, I don't know if it's because it's really the matter of difference because
Right,
of like going from one idea of the event to another.
right.
But it's been a lot more enjoyable for me. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. Um, I think it's a little bit more consistent, a little bit easier going than how it has been previously with the forest.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. I do like the change because, like, I find in a lot of games, and it's not just Destiny, so in a bunch of games like that, when they do the kind of seasonal event that not that we have for Halloween, Christmas, whatever, um,
Mhm.
a lot of the time they end up being the same thing. So, like, another game that I play a lot is Overwatch, right?
Mhm.
Those who know me and know us know that I play a lot of Overwatch. I have a bunch of Overwatch stuff behind me, but whatever. And for the last 6 years, basically, we've had those type of events. We've had the Halloween one, we've had the Christmas one. We're in the middle of the Halloween one right now, actually. But it's
Mhm.
been consistently the same thing. So, like this year, we're playing almost the same version as Frankenstein's Revenge as we did 5 years ago, which is,
Mhm.
it's cool, it's fun, but like when you
Mhm.
do it like 5 years in a row, it becomes kind of like whatever, right? So like
Right.
I do appreciate that they've changed basically the gameplay loop of Festival of the Lost, right? Compared to last year. Because last year was the same as the year before.
Mhm.
And I think the year before was when it started. Was it the year before that? I can't remember. But
Mhm.
um, so like the Infinite Forest, I can't remember what it was called for that event. But like we've gone to the Infinite Forest like a few times for different events,
Mhm.
and that was cool. Like I enjoyed the atmosphere and the creepy part of it, and like the boss at the end, how you're running away and all that stuff. That was cool, but I feel like it was a good time. It was a good time for something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you, I really like. I like the gameplay loop. Those like spooky lost sectors.
Mm-hmm.
How do they call them? Like haunted lost sectors or whatever. I like that.
Yeah,
And we have new enemy types because of that,
right, right.
which is
And
cool.
like it really is. I mean, like I said before, like the idea of the haunted forest back in the previous versions for Destiny 2, it's just been pretty much just you running away the entire time, just trying to get through like different sectors and that sort. And it gets pretty repetitive pretty quickly, especially back when we had the Revelry, because it was almost the same event,
Right.
almost exactly the same.
Right, the Revelry. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. Which is, yeah,
Mhm.
basically was the same thing. It's like you were going into the Infinite Forest. And for those who haven't played the game when Mercury was still in the game, we'll talk about vaulted content later. But for those who haven't played the game before Mercury was removed, there was this Infinite Forest thing where basically the levels were kind of randomized, kind of,
Kind of.
like
It was
to some extent.
right, right. It's basically just kind of like kind of like how it is in the game with some sectors like that involve the Vex, where sudden platforms will appear and that sort of forth. Here, it was that, but a little bit more involved, where basically it was like larger platforms leading towards like a pillar or so,
Right.
for the most part. Um, but with these special events here, with the haunted forest and like what we have with the Revelry, it was basically you're just going on these random generated platforms, kind of working your way to eventually to a eventual goal or boss, more or less, within a set period of time.
Right. Which was fine. But like you said, after a while, it becomes a little repetitive,
Mhm.
and I'll be honest, and something we can talk about as well. Like I'll be honest, the loot that you got for it the past couple of years to me felt kind of a little underwhelming. I know a lot of people really
Yeah.
like. I know a lot of people really like their horror story and their
Mhm.
Braytech Werewolf auto rifles. I get it. I'm really not a fan of those weapons. And to top it off, last season the rolls on the Braytech Werewolves were just bad.
Yeah.
They were just all around not good. Like there was no real point in doing it aside from it was kind of fun. It was fun. It was a bit
Mhm.
repetitive, but it had this, a good atmosphere and stuff.
Mhm.
Whereas this year, um, the game not only brings back all those weapons, the horror story, the Braytech Werewolf, but also brings in a new pulse rifle.
Mhm. Yeah, the Jurassic Green, which it's been kind of getting like a little bit of a mixed reaction. I've heard some people like really really loving it, and then I've heard some people saying like, "Yeah, it's okay."
Yeah,
But from what I've seen of it, and not to quote somebody else here for it, but it's nasty.
it's nasty. Um, I agree. I actually tend to agree. Not to reference Astacross video about it.
Right.
Uh, but I actually did like the video he made about it because he made a point of showing that he liked the weapon, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily a super cracked weapon. Like
Right.
it's not a weapon that's gonna make you win PvP, right?
Mhm.
But it's still a pretty good weapon. I know I enjoy it
Mhm.
to some extent.
Mhm.
Um, this being said, will I take it instead of my messenger? I don't know, but it's a fun weapon, and it's an energy
Right.
weapon,
Right.
so it can be useful. Rapid fire pulse rifles, there are not too many of those,
Mhm.
and
See,
yeah,
right. Like I tend to like sit on the side of the fence where I like to be more experimental. Like I like to try out guns that don't really get into the rotation just to see how they feel and that sort. And sometimes it is hit or miss. But the thing about the Jurassic Green is that it's based off the old Lincoln Green, which basically back in the day was a meta pulse rifle back in like the first year of
right,
was it 32, which I unfortunately wasn't there for it, but I know that like prior to the sunsetting that took place initially, I did create a version of it and just tried it out here just for shits and giggles,
right.
and it was pretty solid pulse honestly all throughout. So the fact that they modeled it after that for it here, I'm excited for it, and I love the theme. I absolutely love the theme for it.
I do like it too, actually. I don't know. It feels alright to play with. I didn't have like a super cracked roll on it. The one I have, I got two fairly okay rolls. I have a rangefinder dragonfly, which I want to try, in PvP, and I
Hmm.
got a subsistence dragonfly, which I want to try in PvE. I've played a little bit with it in PvE.
Hmm.
Um, it's fun and all. Like I feel the stability, even though the stat on stability is fairly high. Like I don't know, I feel it kicks a little weird. Like it's not straight. Obviously, I don't know
Hmm.
how much it. I should check on the like the DG how my roll is, but like I feel the
Right, right.
recoil on it is a little strange. But
Mm.
it's I don't know. I like it. I enjoy it.
Mhm.
Like it's not no.
Mm.
It's not the most amazing weapon I feel, but you know it's good. It's good to play with. I feel.
Right. See, for me, like I'm still trying to farm out a good role for it here. Like I've gotten a couple, but nothing that really kind of fits my need.
Yeah.
So it's the only reason why I haven't really been putting it out there. That, and also I recently got to Vex Method class, so I've been kind of just daunting that thing a little bit too much recently.
Right. Right. That's not the one I need to get as well. Yeah,
For everybody out there.
yeah, enjoy it before they nerf it because apparently they're planning on
True.
toning it down
True.
a little bit. We can talk about that in a little bit if you want.
Right.
Uh,
Hmm.
Other things, like just last thing on the pulse rifle. What I really like and kind of linking to the activity, the
Hmm.
haunted lost sectors. It's actually pretty easy to farm,
Hmm.
right? Because it basically drops. I don't want to say every time because it's the loot pool at the end of the haunted log sector is between the two auto rifles and this one, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but the haunted log sector itself takes like 10 minutes to do. It's not super
Hmm.
long, and you get at least one or two of the weapons to drop at the end. It's fairly easy
Hmm.
to farm. Like I've done it. I don't know how many times I've done that last sector. I want to say like maybe a bit over a dozen times.
Mm. Okay.
Uh, so I got quite a few of them.
Hmm.
Like you said, it's hard to find a good role
Hmm.
that not really goes well with your playstyle. I got a bit lucky because I do like anything with Dragonfly and it goes boom everywhere. That's kind of my style. But yeah, I do like that it's easy to farm. But then to kind of bring like I don't know to bring the event a little down a little bit. I feel
Hmm.
that the gameplay loop in itself is interesting. So how does it work? So do you want to explain how the gameplay loop works?
Sure, sure. Definitely go over that here for it. So basically, the way it works is that you like, well, they've got these pages that you have to collect in the game now. Then you get them through general activities and that sort. But then what you do is you come into the playlist for the haunted sectors. You then go into the combat with whatever's in the lost sector itself there for it. Eventually, there's these rare spawns, or not rare spawns, but these special spawns that come up here for it, where you have to sit in a zone for them to spawn, and then as they spawn, you have to kill them. And when you kill them, they'll drop candy and that sort. And usually, there's about like 10 of them in total. But after you get all of that here for it, you then have to fight a main like elite in the lost sector here for it and have to defeat it, and that's when you get the special rewards for it here. But the thing about that fight in particular is that it periodically gets shields that come up. You have to kill some of those elites that you had previously killed for it here, and then they give you like pumpkin bombs that you have to throw at the main elite to destroy its shield. Um, so and that's basically the loop itself there for it. That you go in with these pages, you go and kill these elites, you get how many as you can, and then you fight the boss, have to do the routine with the boss to get it done, and then you get loot, which loot includes like anything from just like general candy to some of the mentioned weapons we talked about here for it, to special pages that can be turned in then afterwards, or like tokens for it anyway. Um, to fill up a book here that's meant for to carry you throughout the whole season, for like kind of give you purpose to do the whole thing and get special rewards once it's completed.
Right.
So, but that's the premise for it this year.
Yeah. Which is fun. I enjoy that. I really like those pumpkin or headless ones, as Clint calls
Hmm.
them. So the headless ones are basically huge hive knights, but instead of having the regular heads, they have a pumpkin head. And I think it's hilarious. It's funny. I also like. I gotta say, I love Glint so much.
I was about to say that, like his inclusion in this with his voice lines and everything, that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I just absolutely adore it.
So Glint, for those watching us who don't know, is a crow's ghost. Crow, previously Aldrin, revived as a guardian, known as the Crow, and his ghost Glint is trying to kind of like it kind of like Glint is learning along as Crow is as well. Even the ghost is supposed to maybe know a bit more, because I don't really know how it works in Destiny, but I would assume that the ghost is kind of supposed to guide you into the light, or using the light and whatever. But I really do like Glint's kind of like, I don't know, candidness. Is like so happy about it. I love when he's talking to Ikora, like some of the lines. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we're in this thing." And Ikora is like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we're just killing some headless ones. There's lots of loot." And I'm like, "What?" And Ikora is like, "Okay, you go do your thing, I guess."
Let's have fun.
I love that. This is actually really, really good.
It's great.
I really
Absolutely
do
great.
appreciate that they included Glint more. Someone told me, I think it was Kunk, that this part was supposed to come last year, I think, instead of this year. This particular event with the Haunted Lost Sector and stuff was supposed to come last year, but last year with Beyond Light being pushed back and all those things, they had to do the event differently. So they couldn't include that because basically we didn't really know what was going on at that point with Crow. So if we had that at the right, like with the delays and stuff, so that would have messed up everything. So that's why they got it this year instead. And that's why I feel that Glint is like all happy and joyous and kind of like discovering new things. Because it was supposed to be last year. But at the same time, I do like that they still brought it back this year for us because, like, I don't know, it's refreshing, right? It kind of refreshes the atmosphere of the season itself, which is pretty heavy in terms of story, right? Especially where we've left off last week or the week before, I can't remember now, but. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But back to the gameplay loop. So that's essentially how it works. My only criticism for that is, so in order to change those pages into the Lost Sector, you have to go grab the pages first outside of the Lost Sector, right? So you do some activities in the game. So it could be Strike, it could be Gambit, it could be PvP Crucible, it could be public events, that type of stuff. And then doing that, you get rewarded some spectral pages. And then you go into the Lost Sector, and for every headless one that you defeat, it counts whatever spectral pages they drop. And then after you defeat the main boss, it changes those spectral pages into regular pages, and then you can use into the lore book. My problem is that getting those spectral pages, man, it's such a chore.
It is. It really is.
Oh, lost someone.
Oh, looks
kicked
like kicked me out.
Got kicked out for inactivity on now.
Oh boy. Okay, hold on. Let me get back in there. Oh,
I didn't think of that. let me reopen my.
Thanks for a moment. Yep.
Boom. There we go. But yeah, so that's I don't want to say it's a complaint because, let's be honest, it's a free event. Like, it's not like, we have to do it. Like, the stuff you get from it is not amazing. It's not it's not like you have to have it.
Right.
But still, getting those pages, man, it's such a chore. Because what I found, and I haven't really found like a super efficient way to farm pages like that. So for each strike you do, you get anywhere from 4 to 6 pages. Any game in Crucible usually gives you 3 or 4. Gambit I don't remember how many I got for Gambit. Gambit, you get like 4 or 5 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Something like that. Yeah.
right? So it's not a lot, and I would say typically before going into the last sector, you want to have at least like 12 or 13 pages, right?
Yeah.
Because like you explained, you have those headless ones, and the max you can kill is 10 of them before the boss shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a certain time. I think it's like 5 or 8 minutes, whatever. And
Something like that. Yeah.
and during that time, you need to kill as many headless ones as you can. And the maximum you can kill is 10. And then the boss spawns, and then you can kill more. I think it goes up to like 3 or 4.
Right.
I don't think I've been on more than 14 at a time. Maybe that's the way to it. I don't know. And then so for each headless one that you defeat, you get one of those pages converted into a regular page. So that's why I say like you want like at least like I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 14. 12, I'd say 12 to 14 to go in the last sectors, because those last sectors are not difficult. Like you'll easily kill those 10 things. Like and like I wish they changed that though. I'll be honest. I wish they changed that, because so many times I go in there and everybody is so good. Even like all the blueberries are so good. We kill everything and then we end up waiting for the boss for a minute and a half.
True.
Right? Because that's one of the things. Like you have that set amount of time to kill those 10 headless ones. But once you kill the 10, if you have time left, nothing happens. You just wait. You wait for the timer to expire, and then the boss shows up. Which, if you're very efficient with your team, you can sit around for quite a while. But yeah, so like you need all those pages. So basically, like I feel, and maybe it's just me, but like I feel like I'd have to do 3 strikes to be able to do one run of the haunted lost sector, which is kind of unfortunate. And again, to be fair, it's not something you have to do. It's a free event. The loot that you get from it is not super cracked or amazing. You're not gonna break the game with it. It's not Telesto, but
But yeah.
Right. But the things you do get with those pages is when you go see Eva and in the tower, you can unlock those lore pages from that big book, right? And those are fun. Those are fun to read. There's like some funny little stories there. One's taking place on the Europa, one's taking place on the moon, and the last set I'm not entirely sure yet because I've unlocked this one. I've only unlocked all pages for the moon and Europa. But to unlock each page, you need a certain amount of pages. So many pages per page. So the first 2 pages cost you like 2 pages to unlock, and then 3, and then 5, and then after that, it costs 9 pages to unlock one, right? So it's like you do one lost sector and you get like anywhere from 12 to 14 pages, so you can unlock one, so that's cool. But then there are like 37 pages, I think, to unlock. 36?
Something like that, yeah. It's a ridiculous amount.
Right? That's a lot of pages. So like I've done 2 sets. I still have 1 set left, which is 9 pages. I think it's 9 pages. And it's 9 converted pages to unlock one. So I would need, 49 pages to unlock the whole thing, right? Ooh. So like I need to do the last sector like about 5 times. It's still 5 times, roughly. But then to do one last sector, I need to do about 3 strikes. 2 to 3 strikes. Right? So it's like I need to basically spend like 3 days doing strikes to be able to get those pages. And also the cap on special pages is at 75. So it's not like you can just farm that for hours and hours and hours and then just spend the rest of your time just doing lost sectors, because you have a cap on those pages, right? That's my only criticism. Aside from that, no, it's fun. Like, no, I enjoy it. I'm having fun with it. The lost sectors are cool. Oh, my other criticism. Like you're just gonna feel like I'm hating on the game, but I don't know, because I'm really not. I'm actually having a lot of fun with this event compared to how it was last year. Last year I barely touched it, but this year I'm having a lot of fun. Like all the candies everywhere and everything. Like it's great. But my only other gripe is So far, we have 3 different hunted lost sectors, right?
Mm.
And I don't know if they make more or not, but so far we have 3. We have one on the moon, which is Revelation, I think. The
Yep.
lost sector in Stars Harbor.
Hmm.
We have one on Europa,
Hmm.
which is the Vex lost sector on Cadmus Ridge on the left side on the map,
Oh, that one. Okay.
right?
Okay. I haven't seen that one yet. Mhm.
And we have one on Nissus,
Yep.
which
Which is right
is
there. It's the one with the fallen right there by
right by
the,
failsafe, right?
yep, by that sail safe. Yep.
So my gripe is that once you get in the playlist,
Hmm.
you'll basically be stuck doing the same last sector over and over again until you leave and
Hmm.
requeue again. And I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's just my bad RNG. It could just be my bad RNG. But I feel that the rotation in lost sectors is abysmal. Like I've seen my
Yes.
like the first day when that came out on Tuesday, I've
Hmm.
only gotten to do the moon. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, that's cool, that's fun. I was like, this is gonna get a little boring if it's always the same thing, but this is kind of fun. And then I went on YouTube and watched some videos, and I see those people playing in other places. I'm like, what? There are
Hmm.
other lost sectors than the moon? How?
Hmm.
And then I went back into it, and I got good into Europa. I'm like, oh, sweet, it's a new one. And I just got to do Europa for an hour. And
Oh,
then
see.
I just got to do Nessus, I
Hmm.
think, yesterday.
Ah, okay. See,
Yeah.
for me, like I haven't even seen the Europa one because like I started off with just doing a few like on the moon, and then the last time that I was doing it, I was doing nothing but the Nessus one. Like that was the entire one that I was doing. Like, and I even like popped out of the list, came back to it later, and
And
it was still the
still got
Nessus.
Nessus.
Yeah.
Oh
So
no. Your entry
I
is even
think
worse than mine then.
so. Maybe.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like as far as it goes here, like just kind of touching on like some of the things you've mentioned here for it. Like one, yeah, I definitely agree that some variation of like the like mix up of the list definitely needs to be made. I can understand only 3 being made for the season here for it because it's again new thing, new content. Completely understood.
And again,
Especially with the
and it's
Mhm.
a free event, right? It's
Exactly,
an event available
exactly.
to everybody. You don't need to own the expansion. You don't need to own anything. You
Hmm.
can just play it. So there's only
Right.
only so many resources they have to make that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
it's fine if there's only 3 places.
Right. And it makes sense. It makes sense in that regard.
Mm.
The as far as like the pages goes for it here, I think probably the best way they can combat the issue though, because I'm with you. There's definitely not enough from the activities coming from it here for it. And the fact you have to keep doing them is just ridiculous. But why not add the inclusion of gaining pages during the event too? You know? So maybe not like always like getting like maybe the amount that you would with other activities for it here, but at least get 1 or 2 for it for each time you do it anyway. You know,
Right,
that
right.
way it keeps more people in rotation for it here since it is match based gameplay. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so why not have that continual aspect for it here? Like, so let's say somebody comes in with like 8 instead of like the 10, be like, okay, no worries, I'll just keep playing it. I'm gonna get a few anyway.
Right,
You know,
right. Yeah, like have them just drop randomly, like, right?
exactly,
Like
exactly.
they don't have to have a super crazy drop rate, but no. Like,
Hmm.
and there are some places in the game where they don't drop at all.
Hmm.
If you
Oh
do
no,
if
yeah.
you do a regular last sector, nothing drops.
Hmm.
Like earlier today, I was farming the legend last sector because today is for the legs,
Hmm.
and it's that last sector on Europa, which is the same last sector as the haunted one. It's just the regular one
Hmm.
on Europa, and so I saw today was for the legs, and I was like, sweet, I don't have the new legs for the warlock yet because I
Hmm.
haven't bothered farming too much for them. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, this is an easy last sector. I'm gonna do that, and I've done
Hmm.
6 runs of the
Hmm.
legend, and before I got my legs finally, but like 0 pages. And it's like I feel like that kind of stuff should have something in there. Like
Right,
they should
right.
have some pages in there because you know doing strikes and doing some a bit of crucible, a bit of gambit. If you really enjoy gambit, sure, like why not? And
Right.
it's fine. Like, it's part of the game, and they're not bad parts of the game. Like I enjoy doing some strikes once in a while. I even enjoy doing a bit of Crucible here and there, since the changes to trials,
Right.
which is not something I would ever think that I would ever say.
Right. Right.
And you can quote me on that. Flo said, I do enjoy me some Crucible once in a while. Weird. But like, I feel like they should have some pages in other places. Like you do Lost Sector, like you don't need to get 5 for Lost Sector because it's below your, like, it's a super easy thing to do. Like give me 1 or 2 for Lost Sector, especially if I'm doing like a Legend or Master Lost Sector, right? Like give me a couple pages at least. It's it won't be too bad.
Right.
That and then other activities like the Exo Challenge as well doesn't give pages. Presage doesn't give pages. I've done Presage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've done Presage earlier, real quick. Doesn't give pages. So there's a little bit of a missed opportunity, I feel. But this being said, I mean, we can't really complain too hard about it because it's still a fun event. We got, like Glyn says, now we got a lot of loot. So yeah, I don't know, I'm having fun with it. Yeah. Anyway, let's pick a coin. You're funny. Ding, ding, ding. Let me get closer to you because we need to show that to people. You're actually the drifter.
Oh, hold on. Let me do this here real quick. It's like, hey.
Ooh. Oh.
And then, there we go.
That's funny. Ball on the field.
Get a sword.
Bring a sword.
Bring a sword.
But yeah, that's for Festival of the Lost. And let's move on a little bit because we've been here for a while. What do you think of the season itself? So not counting Festival of the Lost, but the season itself, the season of the Lost. What are your thoughts on that?
I really like to dive into story in this here for it, like just how deep it's getting into like the lore now for it here, and like bringing up these characters forward. I love the fact that they brought back Mara. I love the fact that they've introduced Savathun now at this point, like officially.
Right.
And the interactions between the characters have been honestly some of the best I've seen in the game so far. I've been really enjoying like the story of like how like the kind of interactions between like Savathun and us, and then like Mara kind of overlooking the whole thing for here, while Petra and Crow have been kind of going at each other's throats here a little bit. It's been really, really good. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I think if I were to criticize anything about it for it here, I kind of don't like the separation between the event, like the match made event, and then going into the Shattered Realm. Like I think it's really my only real gripe for it here, because there's just moments where it feels like it just feels disconnected.
It does feel a little disconnected.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. I actually really do enjoy the Astral Alignment match-made activity. I really do enjoy it. It kind of like reminds me of Sundial meet.
Yeah.
Kind of like Overdrive. That was Overdrive, right? Last season.
Yeah, I think right. I think the like one of the explanations I heard, like when somebody was explaining it, like one of the best ones I like, is that it's a mix of the well, of the blinding well,
Yep.
with a mix of again the sundial.
Right.
Is what I think it's in that aspect here for it. I think they hit it right on the nose. It's like a better version of Blinding Well, and it's got the same kind of gameplay or similar gameplay to what we experienced with the Sundial.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Where like I agree the most, I think, is when you say it's a better version of the Blind Well activity. Because I mean, let's be honest, nobody plays Blind Well anymore. Like
it's just so confusing.
Like,
honestly, like
if you just started playing the game like 3 weeks ago, first of all, tough luck for what we're gonna talk about later. But
Right, right.
like if you started playing the game recently and you just played through Forsaken and just opened Dreaming City and all that stuff, and you're starting getting some missions and some bounties about, oh, make sure you go do some blind well. It's like, good luck. Good luck
Right.
finding anybody actually playing that thing. Like, I have honestly not found anybody playing blind well, like
Hmm.
no random people, in like
Hmm.
almost 2 years. So like,
It's yeah, it's
like
it's a bit rough.
it's really rough. So
Hmm.
that's why I really enjoy Astral Alignment, because it brings us back there. Because I think in terms of environment, it looks really, really good. I'm a big fan of the Dreaming
Hmm.
City style,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
the activity is good in itself, right? There are like
Hmm.
2 or 3 different areas where you can go in. It's kind of like random.
Hmm.
So you have you start at the blind well, and then you get teleported somewhere else, and then somewhere else again, and then you're back to the blind well. And those 2 different ones, they are picked from a pool of 3 different destinations, so it's kind of random like
Hmm.
that. But I enjoy
Right.
that. I enjoy that. That's why it reminds me of the sundial, right? Because the sundial was kind of the
Hmm.
same thing. Like, you would go to the main machine, and then you'd be sent somewhere, and then you come back, and then you'd be sent somewhere else, and then you'd have the
Hmm.
boss kind of thing.
Right,
And
right.
I like that compared to something like we had last season, the overdrive thing, which
Hmm.
was not bad but not great.
Hmm.
It was basically stand there in that little area and just shoot waves of
Hmm.
enemies and then
Hmm.
go kill a boss kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
It wasn't terrible. At least it was fast. It was good.
Hmm.
But I feel like it's more interactive. I do enjoy it.
Yeah,
I do enjoy it.
yeah.
And then to go back to the Shattered Realm, which is
Hmm.
more, that's more the story base destination kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Compared to the Astral Alignment.
Right.
Shattered Realm, you can do it solo. You can do it with 2 other buddies if you want to match. If you want to have a fire team in there. It's
Hmm.
not super hard, although the legendary version of it is a little difficult solo at first. Once when you don't really know what to expect. Um, but I agree with you. It does feel a little disconnected because the Shadow Realm is where you get all the story, right? It's like
Hmm.
it takes place in the Ascendant Plane. It's
Hmm.
kind of like in the Ascendant Plane version of some of the destinations that we already know. So like we have the
Right.
EDZ, we have the Moon, we have the other one with the Squarns.
Hmm.
We have those destinations that are really cool. Shadow Realm, like I'm a big fan. I'm a huge
Hmm.
fan. Like I love
Oh
doing,
yeah.
I love doing those activities, and there's so much in there. There's bits of lore everywhere. You have a bunch of secrets to find. Um,
Mhm.
really, really cool. But I agree with you. It feels a little disconnected, especially in terms of the
Yeah.
loop. Right when you go through the story, it's like, okay, go
Hmm.
talk to Mara, and Mara is being Mara, like she usually does.
Hmm.
I don't love her or hate her. And then you go do some Astral Alignment, which is
Hmm.
cool. And then you go do the Shattered Realm, and then you have the end of the story for that week, right?
Hmm.
Um, it does feel a bit weird. I feel like the activities by themselves are good, but they don't necessarily
Hmm.
mesh well together. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, and I would say so as well for here in that regard because like yeah, like the events are not bad. They're
Mm.
really not. It's just that there is this kind of separation with them, and I can understand like Bunny's perspective because it seems like seasonal content usually involves like two things usually, you know.
Right,
So so for example, like with last season, using the overrides as one part of it, and then the expunge missions afterwards.
right,
You know, but there was a kind of inclusion there for it here, where you kind of felt like there was some tie-in to it, whereas this here feels like it's a little bit separate. And maybe it's just me. I mean, the whole thing with the ascended plane and what we're doing with the alignments here for with the the astral alignments. It just I don't know. It just kind of for me it feels like it's off. It's kind of like how can I put it? It's like with the Ascended Planes, like when you're going into the Ascended Plane, just in general in the Dreaming City, like how you have the weekly, like the weekly area that you can access there for
right.
using it to your,
For the Ascendant
y-
challenge.
yeah, for Ascended Challenge and that sort. And it just feels like it's still, for me anyway, it feels like it's separate. Like that felt separate to me as well. And I get that same kind of feeling for it. And I don't know if it's just because of setting or that sort, but I just, it doesn't come up for me in that regard. Like, maybe as such as maybe it's for others, but
Hmm.
that's my thing.
Okay,
Hmm.
that's interesting. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I do understand, and I do kind of feel the
Hmm.
disconnection that you're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think I feel as strongly as you do about it. But it's interesting.
It might be, you know what? It's probably now that I'm thinking about it here, for it's probably due to my experience with like the Taken and the Ascension and stuff like that. They're back from like Destiny One,
Right,
where there was some more involvement in that regard for here, but the Dreaming City was never even like talked about really outside of like lore, maybe.
right,
Um, so I mean, maybe it's deriving from that there because I'm used to like I'm recalling moments when like it was just like part of like wherever you were, you know. Whereas this here for it's like specifically in places that you have to go to and that sort and and again back then the fallen were or not the fallen the awoken were not really tied into it as much as far as like in the immediate game here for it maybe in the lore
right,
but in the game like the only time you really dealt with like the ascended realm and that sort is when you were dealing with specifically the Taken. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like I said, it could be just me just reminiscing about that part of it here and that sort. But it's regardless, I'm still really enjoying the story. I'm really
right,
liking the pacing of it here for it, the hidden messages that are being shared from Savathun and that sort with
mm,
it here. You know, just especially with the kind of like cliffhanger more or less that they left us in here for now.
right,
Even with that, like it leaves perspective to like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen with these things? Um, not to spoil anything for it here, but it's just, there are characters in position here for where you're just kind of wondering what's going to happen next.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
100%, 100%. Some of those characters are tied to something else we're gonna touch on very soon
Mhm.
with the vaulted content. But
Mhm.
I agree. What I like the most, and that'll be like for that whole expansion for Beyond Light,
Mhm.
aside, I was gonna say aside from Season of the Hunt.
Mhm.
But even then, I have to put a caveat. I did not enjoy Season of the Hunt as far as the gameplay loop was going. To
Mhm.
me, it was boring as hell. Those Wrathborn hunts, it was just not fun to do.
Right. Right.
That's my caveat for Season of the Hunts. But for this whole expansion and for all the seasons that we've had this year, I feel that the storytelling from Bungie has
Mhm.
improved like so big, like
Mhm.
has improved so much compared to
Mhm.
where it was at, during Vanilla D2 and even like I'd say even early Forsaken. It's
Mhm.
gotten better with Forsaken, but like I feel like the more we go, the more the storytelling and the more the way Bungie tells the story is improving and is so good. And I really really
Mhm.
enjoy that season for that this season because
Mhm.
like me as a player, I feel more involved in it instead of just sitting there and having stuff told to me. Like I feel like I'm actually part
Mhm.
of it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's not just because I have to go there and kill things and grab this and come back to pick up my loot, right? It's more than that. I'm standing there, like I'm basically part. Like there is no real cutscenes.
Mhm.
It's all in-game stuff. But like
Mhm.
I'm there when it's happening. I can look around. I
Yep.
can move around. Like no, I'm part of it, and like they're talking to
Mhm.
me like as a character, and I
Mhm.
really, really enjoy that. I really enjoyed the
Right.
storytelling.
Right.
And the story itself, where it's taking us, like it's
Mhm.
just making me even more excited for Witch Queen coming up.
No, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, like, again, there's that potential that's leaving these little like little breadcrumbs, to what could happen
Oh
here for
yeah.
what's gonna happen, and it's exciting. It really is, because I mean, that there was this kind of level of a stagnation when it came to the story itself there, where you just didn't really know what was going on. You get like a little bit of a trailer, and they're like that's it. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
you know. But the way that they're doing it separate each week, that they're bringing in new content like pretty much every week here for it for certain parts of it here
Mhm.
like for the story specifically, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been well told here for it. From what we've been seeing over the past year,
Oh yeah.
I would say miles ahead of what we've seen previously.
I definitely agree. Like
Mhm.
what something I want to say is like
Mhm.
the way the story progressed through the year, like is to
Mhm.
me something we haven't seen so far in all the seasonal content that we've had.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Since Destiny Year 2 with Forsaken. Um,
Hmm.
like, even though a lot of people say like each story for each season is like feels disconnected from each other and stuff, it's like I kind of get it. Season of the Hunt
Hmm.
was all about the Crow and Cyrus and Zivor Wrath and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then after that we got Kaido,
Hmm.
and then we got the Fallen,
Hmm.
and now we're going into Season of the Lost with Mera and Sabathun and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
knowing what we know now of the story,
Hmm.
when you look back and you piece everything together, even though the main story of each season feels disconnected, you can actually see the thread of the main story going through all of them, right?
Hmm.
Osiris and Crow, like whatever's happening in Season of the Hunt way back then, we got some
Hmm.
answers about that this season. Like we
Right.
know about Osiris, and like we've seen the progression of Osiris through the whole year.
Hmm.
With Crow, with Kaido, last season not as much, but a little bit. I mean, at the
Hmm.
end, obviously, at the end, that was a big thing with Osiris. And I love that.
Hmm.
Whereas for Shadowkeep, the year before
Hmm.
that, um, the beginning of Shadowkeep was amazing, to me at least,
Hmm.
not having played D1. But like
Hmm.
the revelation of that pyramid ship on the moon,
Hmm.
like who is with the darkness, those statues and whatever, that was great. And then through the whole year, nothing. Uh,
Yeah, there's
right? And
definitely a lot of separation and kind of just like.
and like no, each season had its own story and stuff like that, but like it feels like there was
Mhm.
no connecting thread like there is this year. And then
Right.
you got Arrival,
Hmm.
and then the pyramids are here, just
Hmm.
like that. And
Right.
and then we go back to the main story, but like in between, it feels like there was not really
Hmm.
connecting dots. Like it's not like
Right.
it's hard to go back to the previous expansion. Oh shit, I'm the one who got kicked out this time. Um,
Here, I'll fix it up. Hold on.
um, no, this season you can actually, in hindsight, kind of like see the connecting dots of the story. But the previous expansion, you couldn't really do that,
Hmm.
which is really what I like, and I feel that that's how Bungie has really improved in terms of storytelling. It's pretty great.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay.
Alright. Yeah, it's a friend only, so you should be able to come in now.
You're not showing online for me.
Oh, you know what?
Are
I'm
you?
probably invisible on Steam.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me fix that.
Anyway, while you fix that, our impressions on the
Mhm.
current season of the Lost. I think we've made some massive improvements in terms of storytelling. This season's been very very good so far. I'm
Mhm.
curious to see if it's gonna hold up over
Mhm.
time because this season is 6 months long and we've gone through a third of it so far. And
Mhm.
in terms of story stuff, we're already out of stuff to do, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, we still have the legendary version of Astral Alignments coming next week, I believe.
Mhm.
Or maybe after the Festival of the Lost, I don't know.
Mhm.
So that will be an extra thing to do, but in terms of story, we probably won't hear much until it's going to be almost time for Witch Queen, right? I mean, I think that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So we'll have to see, if we can maintain that kind of hype for the game right now. Right now, no,
Mhm.
we're 2 months into the game. I'm still playing the game almost every day,
Mhm.
which I'll be honest is more than I could say last season or the season before that, right?
Mhm.
Last season, like past the first month, while I was just logging in every Tuesday to do a story, and that was pretty much it. And then I barely touched the
Mhm.
game after that.
Right.
Whereas this
Right.
season, I'm still going in. It also helps that they've paced those events in a
Mhm.
smart way, I feel, because like we're just at the end of the story. Like we should be in the time period where we're kind of in the lull and nothing's happening.
Mhm.
And then they brought the Festival of the Lost, so it gives us something to do and something to play.
Hmm.
And then after that, when this is over, it's gonna be time for the 30th anniversary. So we're gonna get
Hmm.
new dungeon, new weapons, new stuff.
Yep.
Really excited for that. So like the season is super
Same.
long. Luckily, we
Mhm.
have stuff to do, and hopefully they pace that properly, so we're not super
Mhm.
bored by the end of
Right.
it.
I think like personally, I think the low moment is going to come next month. That's going to be really the test of time because
Mm,
coming into next month here for it, this event will be over. There'll be no other additional events outside of like maybe some partial things going on, like maybe
right.
Iron Banner or trials, stuff like that. There, so that's really going to be the questionable moment. Like what's going to happen during this period?
Mm,
Um, so I think that's really going to be that part. But like come December we've got so much happening. We've got the seasonal event there for it with the I forget the name of it right now, but with the Christmas event more or less. And then we've got, of course, the anniversary stuff coming out there for it with the new
oh, we have
dungeons,
the
the
dawning. Yeah,
activity. Yeah, the dawning. That's it, the dawning. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on in December, carrying into January, and then a little bit of February too here for it. So it's really my concern really is just what's going to happen next month. You know, so that period there, those like 3-4 weeks there for it. What's going to happen during that period of time?
right.
Um, but I mean, looking at it here for it, like yeah, we're a third of the way in, but I mean, it's not too terribly far off here. I mean, as long as we can hold out like in maybe 4 months,
Yeah,
then we're good.
yeah,
Mhm,
for sure. I agree.
mhm.
Like I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, okay? Because I know I'm famous for complaining and ranting all the time, and I always have something to complain about. I get it. I get it. Okay, I just want the game to be better. That's all. Um, that's my
Right,
excuse.
right. Mhm,
But yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because again, like we've had a lot of stuff to do considering the kind of resources that Bungie has now.
mhm.
Uh,
Right, right.
to me, it's pretty amazing what they've done so far. Even though I complain a lot about some stuff in the game that to me needs some attention, and that
Mhm,
is not getting some attention. Some of those things
mhm.
will get attention very soon.
Right, right.
Maybe we'll have to talk about that. We'll see. Um,
Mhm,
but yeah, I don't sound like I'm complaining. So like this being said, like you said, we will probably get like kind of some downtime probably in November
mhm,
before dawning and the 30th anniversary, which for
mhm,
me is fine. Like
mhm,
I'm actually good. I'm okay with that. Uh,
mhm,
Me personally, that's not gonna apply to everybody else, maybe, but for me personally, because Forza
mhm,
Horizon 5 is coming out in the first week of November, so I'll have
mhm,
I'll have something to play. So
mhm,
if I got nothing to do in Destiny, I'm fine. I got other games. I'm okay with that. And I feel, what, I feel that's the best way for a game to kind of survive, right? Like
mhm.
because always having something to like, always adding something to a game, like always getting something new in there to keep the people entertained and keep the people
Mhm,
coming back all the time. I
mhm.
feel that it's not sustainable, right? Now some
Right,
games, like
right.
some games, will do that for a while, and after a while,
Mhm,
they can't do it anymore because no, the more you do that,
mhm,
the more your players get used to it. And
mhm.
if you need to take a break, well, like all hell breaks loose, right? Because
Right,
people don't
right.
understand. So like I feel
Mhm,
it's okay for a game, especially a game like Destiny, um,
mhm,
to give us a bunch of stuff to do and be like, okay, look at it. You have 4 months to do all that stuff,
mhm.
and if you're done early, that's fine. Go do
Right.
something else. Go outside, touch the grass. Come back in 2 months when the new stuff comes in, right?
Right. No, I'm with you on that part of it too. I like, and you're totally right about it here for it. I mean, like a lot of people like will say that like like for especially game developers nowadays, it's like take your time, make it good.
Mm,
Um, but again, like how many people follow through with that?
yeah.
Um,
And
and
and to
that's
be,
and that's
and to be
Mhm.
fair, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off there, but
No
like
problem.
we were complaining earlier about how it's kind of annoying to get those pages for those last sectors, and and,
Hmm.
and here we are. We're saying, oh, it's okay, take your time. So like we are aware, people. We know, okay, we're aware that we're kind of like going both ways right now, but you can have one and the other, probably.
It's a balancing act
Yeah.
is really what it comes down to for it here because I mean it comes from both our perspective as a player and then also this perspective as the developer
Mm.
where it's about like how much do we give, how much do we let them try to earn versus like how much time do we want to spend and how much time do we want to put effort into this, you know?
Right.
And I think I will say that even with like what's going on for it here, I think Bungie has a better grasp of it now than what they had previously.
I agree.
Um, so especially with the seasonal model, like how things have been coming out here periodically, how we have the like weekly drops for a period, and then it might slow down, and it was like, okay, well, let's put in these other little initiatives here and there for it to help kind of help the people who are going to stay connected to it, you know. So I appreciate it. I know for me, like outside of this, like as you know, I do a lot of drawing on the side here for it. Um, I dedicate a lot of time to doing that and working on commissions and stuff like that there. So I appreciate the downtime because it allows me to focus on some of the other hobbies that I have.
Right.
Whereas with you here for it too, and talking about like getting ready to get into Forza a bit, which don't blame you. I'm thinking about doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of that balance there. You need that kind of differential sometimes. I mean, just sticking to one game and only one game periodically, like for like large periods of time, can be unhealthy, and I think
Yeah.
that's where part of that problem comes into play. So I don't mind developers having slight downtime like this here for it. It's perfectly cool. I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I feel it's okay to have. It's okay for people to have a main game. That's what I call a main game, right? That's the game that you always
Right.
go back to. That's the game you play the most of. Maybe that's the game you love the most, and that's the game you want to play the most. And like, that's when you're always excited for the new stuff like. So like, that's kind of like how I look at Destiny. Destiny is kind of like my main game, right?
Hmm.
It used to be Overwatch. Overwatch hasn't had anything in 3 years, so I had to switch. So Destiny is my main game.
Hmm.
But like you said, it's like, you can't play the same. Like, I mean, you can if you want, but like, is it really is it really healthy to always play the same thing all the time? It's like
Right.
when you have your free time, right? It's like, okay, I have like 4 hours to kill. What am I gonna do? And if you only play the same one thing, like,
Hmm.
I feel you're gonna get burnt out eventually, right?
Hmm.
And then
I agree.
a game that you really enjoy and really love, when you get into that kind of time period where nothing's really happening, like it happens in Destiny, that's the rhythm of Destiny, right? We have like a month or two where we get all the stuff, and then we get another month and a half where nothing happens until the next cycle, right?
Hmm. I
Like,
agree.
you
I
need
agree.
to find something else to do during those quiet times. Play something else. No, do something else. I don't know, but I agree with you. I feel like sticking to one thing when nothing's happening and
Hmm.
then complaining about it, for 2 months. I should look at
Right.
myself.
Right.
But
Mhm.
and then complaining about it, but like, oh, that game, nothing's happening. Like, there is nothing to
Mhm.
do, and we need new
Mhm.
content and blah blah blah. It's like, no, no. You had your new content. You burned through it in 3 weeks. It's your fault.
Mhm. Yeah.
Go play something
Yeah.
else.
Right. And that's why I kind of appreciate that the story itself here is like tiered off like that, where
Yeah,
basically you can do some content each week and then don't have to worry about trying to push through all of it here and then suddenly be bored.
yeah,
So I do like that approach because it gives you something to look forward to each and every week. It stretches it out here for everybody and doesn't burn out anybody here for it to like who wants to like try and get everything all done at once. It's like, okay, do a little bit, relax, go breathe, have a smoke, come back later.
yep, yeah,
you know, uh, it's
yeah.
like literally that.
I definitely agree.
Um,
And that's my main argument
mhm,
when I hear people say that the drip feed content that Disney has been doing since Shadowkeep
mhm,
um, is bad, and they would rather have Comet expansions rather than having
mhm,
seasonal content.
mhm.
I'm like, but why? Like, what's the point?
Right.
It's like don't get me wrong, like Comet expansions are great. Like, there's so much
Mhm,
stuff to do, like so much stuff to do. But like,
mhm,
if you're really that hardcore about the game,
mhm,
when the Comet stuff drops,
mhm,
you're gonna burn through it in a week, and then
mhm.
you're not gonna have to do anything to do for another 6 months. Like,
Right.
is that what you want? Like, honestly, truly, it's like you're telling me that Comet expansions are better than drip feed seasonal content.
Right.
Actually, like, honestly, like,
Mhm.
I want to try and understand how those people think, because like I'm not saying that it's wrong.
Mhm.
I just want to try to understand, right? Because and then those people are going to complain that there's nothing to do in the game. It's like, well, yeah, because it
Mhm.
did everything so early, because everything was so front loaded. Whereas,
Mhm.
whereas the way we have things now, like you described, it's like it's spaced up. It's like, you know,
Mhm.
the main story for Beyond Light, um,
Mhm.
you could go through it in like 2 or 3 days, right? It
Right.
really
Right.
wasn't that hard
Mhm.
or that long. And then you have those seasons, right? And like those stories told during the seasons, like you said, uh,
Mhm.
it's all spaced out. Like to get through the
Right.
whole story, it takes about 8 weeks, which is great.
Mhm.
And like, like it's kind of how I play the game for the last
Mhm.
couple of seasons, at least, because I've been burnt out a lot by Beyond Light. I played a lot during that time, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
it was
Me
it was
too.
wasn't healthy. Eventually, like I
Mhm.
realized that. But like, you log in on Tuesday, do your story bit, takes you a couple
Mhm.
hours. Cool. I want
Mhm.
to know what happens next, and then you know you want to know what
Mhm.
happens next. Tune in next week. It's like when you're
Right.
watching a show
Right.
on TV, right? And I love that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love
Oh
that.
no, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you completely on that. The fact is, like, you just get that kind of that space in there, get some new something to look forward to each week for it here. Like, I think like honestly, like just kind of analyzing that kind of idea of like the gamer who wants the comic content and not the seasonal drift there. You know, I think it just comes back to a matter of patience and that that feeling of needing like instant gratification.
Right.
You know, I know we kind of briefly talked about this off stream, like or like off video here for like with something else, but I think it kind of correlates to this as well here for it, where just some people just sometimes just don't have the patience for it. They rather just have it right now, right here and now for it here, and then once they consume it, they don't realize that oh, hey, I've got nothing left on my plate,
Right.
you know, and I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
So it's it's a better matter of just kind of just pacing out there for it and that sort.
hmm
Um,
that's funny that analogy you make is that I've seen that somewhere before. I think it might have been on Twitter or something. I spend way too much time on Twitter. Um, but something was kind of saying the same thing. Was like, bring up the fact that it's not really what you eat. It's like about how you eat it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's either you have your stuff in front of you and you go nom 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 nom, and then it's gone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And like because the way your body works, like your body hasn't registered that, but your body hasn't had time to register that you've eaten enough food for the day, so
Mhm.
you're still hungry. Whereas
Right.
if you take your time, you enjoy it, you have your conversation with your friends or family, whatever, while you're eating, like you're gonna eat the same amount of food. It's gonna take longer, and you're gonna feel better about yourself. You're actually gonna feel full, and I think
Right.
that's a great comparison.
Mhm. You know, as far as it goes here for it, I mean, like it's really just that part of that idea, like just again, just you can eat whatever. Oh,
Oh no, you got kicked out.
uh, there now. Okay, okay.
we should we should put a timer or something to make sure we don't get kicked out.
Oh Lord.
um,
All right, let me come join up on you guys here.
let me check that. I have
Ooh.
my
Yeah, I can still join you.
okay, cool.
But I mean, really, it just matters just kind of like spacing it out there, enjoying your time, taking your time. There are some people who just want to consume a whole lot more for it here, but I mean, there's definitely going to be people who don't want to, you know, do that. But it is on the developer side of that part of it there on that argument is just trying to find a happy balance between like how much do you give and serve versus how much do you want to plan out and reserve it here for later, you
Right.
know? Um, and again, the way Bungie's doing it right now, I think is probably the best that they've done it because I remember myself personally being a D1 vet, is that those moments where like we had like nothing for months, like
Mm,
more so than like what we had here for it.
yeah.
Where literally we were waiting for expansions, like literal expansions to come down, and the expansions themselves weren't necessarily like the biggest drops either. Granted, like you had the Taken King, and that was a huge drop, but prior to that, like with the Dark Below and like was it House of Wolves and stuff like that. There, like it gave us some decent amount of content, but
It
not
wasn't huge,
you
yeah.
know, right. It wasn't massive. It wasn't really massive. Like before Taken King, and that's the way. It just the updates themselves were few and far between. They were spread out. Like I remember back when there wasn't even seasonal event. Like I remember the very first Festival of the Lost back on D1, and we were all like, "Whoa, what's all this?" Because like you literally go to tower, there's like nothing there except for the vendors and your belt, and that's it.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, I think a lot of people nowadays maybe don't appreciate what all has been done since then, and that might be because again newer player base and stuff like that there. But for those of us who've been around for a while for it here, I would imagine, hopefully, that there's more appreciation for all the stuff that's being done now for it here. Because again, I remember a time where it was just, the gameplay was pretty much all that kept you into it.
Right.
It was pretty much that, just the gameplay. It's like, okay, you can do these things, cool. Let's go do them for several hours with friends.
Right.
I mean, that's
Which
like
is
literally like what was doing it.
which is, to be fair, not a bad thing to have for a game.
Oh,
If at least
yeah, no, no,
because
no,
like
not at all.
the gameplay in Destiny is really really good. The gunplay
Mhm,
and the movement and so at least in Destiny 2 now. I know in Vanilla
mhm,
Destiny 2 wasn't quite the same, but
mhm,
um, like it's a game that feels good to play. So like if at least you have a game where people can come back just because they enjoy playing the game,
mhm,
like that's a good thing to have, right? But then on
mhm,
top of that, if you can have that kind of regular feed of stuff to do, then,
mhm.
that's even
Right.
better. And I feel that Bungie is hitting it pretty well. No, it's a
Mhm.
little hit or miss here and there. Okay, it's not
Right. Right.
perfect, but they've gotten a lot better at it.
Mhm,
Like just earlier, you mentioned House of Wolves and Rise of Iron.
mhm,
I believe when they just before Beyond Light came out,
mhm,
um, Bungie did say to kind of set expectations. Was it for Beyond Light or was it for Shadowkeep? It was for one of them. That
mhm,
expansion would be roughly around the size of Rise of Iron
mhm.
for people who had played.
Right. I
And
want to say that was. I want to say that was Shadowkeep.
it might have been
Um.
Shadowkeep, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, but one of those expansions, Bungie came
Mhm,
out and clearly set the expectations, right? Which is a good thing to do, and like
mhm,
it kind of goes back to my argument. So okay, so like Rise of Iron wasn't a huge expansion. It wasn't a small
mhm.
one, but it wasn't huge. Like,
Right.
is that what you want? Like, do you want a thing that's gonna last you for 3 weeks and get nothing to do until next September? Like,
Right.
right?
Right. Mhm. I'm with you.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on.
Mhm,
Um, Last big topic that I kind of wanted to talk about today.
mhm,
Bungie has come out recently with an announcement about the content vault, the DCV,
mhm,
Destiny Content Vault. So for those who don't know, and maybe you've joined the game recently, if so, welcome. Um,
mhm.
since when did that start? Did that start last season with Beyond Light, or did that start with Shadowkeep? That started with Beyond Light.
Yeah. Yeah.
After the arrival of the pyramids. So
Mhm,
basically, every expansion moving forward, we can expect some parts of the game to be vaulted. They're gone.
mhm,
Poof. They're not gone. They're just put aside for now, and Destiny is saving them in what they call the content vault. So they can
mhm,
either work on them again, change some stuff, rework them, or do
mhm,
something else with them, and possibly, not 100% sure, but possibly bring them back into the game later, but different. That's the
right.
idea. That's the idea behind it, right? So with Beyond Light, we got uh, Mercury, Io, and Mars that
Mhm.
were taken out of the game, and
Titan as well. Titan as well.
Titan, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna fit into my arguments about what we're gonna talk about like really well. So Mars, Io,
Okay.
Titan, and Mercury were taken out. That's 4 planets, right? 4 destinations that were taken out. Granted, not huge destinations. They're pretty small. Maybe Mars was a little bigger, but Mercury,
Mhm,
Io, and actually Io is pretty big as well. But Mercury
mhm,
and Titan were pretty small. So
mhm,
that was taken away, and instead we got Europa. one destination, big one, but one destination only. And so Bungie just announced that with Witch Queen coming in February, the whole Forsaken campaign is being removed, as well as the Tangled Shores destination. So when we lost all those planets with Beyond Light, we also lost the Red War campaign, Vanilla D2 campaign, the main campaign, right? We lost that, and all the activities associated to that. We also lost the Leviathan, which was a big one.
Yeah.
That one kind of stings a little bit still, for one reason, just because of the tribute hall. Like, am I sad to have lost the Leviathan raids? Not really. The tribute hall was actually kind of cool, but whatever. And so with Witch Queen coming up, we're losing Forsaken, and all the activities linked to Forsaken, and Tangled Shore, and all the activities linked to Tangled Shore, which means the 2 strikes are there, and we're losing Presage, the Presage mission, which makes me sad. And we're losing Spider as a vendor. Like all those things. And that has made a lot of people very angry. Alright, what is your take on that?
My personal take
Yeah.
on it? Like, I get it. Like, I mean, they talked about it before in one of the Vidocs. They just talking about like how they want to try and keep a certain spacing for it here because of the fact that it's multiple platforms here, and even though we're now into the next generation of consoles here for it that have more memory, they're still looking to keep memory restraints on the game itself here for it. Which, for those of us who play on PC, usually it's no matter for it here because we have plenty of space anyway on our hard drives. But for consoles, they are limited to what they have, and it's not easily customizable to add additional memory onto them. Especially for the average gamer. So, like, I get what they're doing, and it's okay, but I do think that it could be executed in different ways, though it does involve a lot of revamp. Like, my like, I compare it to the idea of it, and a lot of people do this online. They think about like other MMOs, that we are calling this now an MMO here.
Right.
Which and MMOs.
I don't agree with Bungie calling themselves an MMO, but that's beside the point.
Right. Like, I get the perspective of what they're trying to aim for. And maybe with the coming expansions, maybe we'll see more of that, like that kind of leaning, you know? But as far as it stands like right now for it here, one of the biggest things that's missing in MMO is the dedicated server aspect of being able to keep this content on a server and allowing customers to come into it and play on that, versus us downloading the content, having it here, and us having to rewrite what they're doing based on what they're doing. I mean, that's really where, like, why we can't keep things for here is because we're downloading it to us, and they're just hosting service to help kind of merge us together more or less with the peer-to-peer aspect. So I think structural wise, like, there may be some need to really kind of relook at it here, because that aspect of MMO is something that Bungie's really not working with. They're just going based on what they're doing and just changing how the content goes. Which, in that ideal for you, that perspective of like how it is right now, I'm okay with it, because again, I understand the memory constraints and that sort. And honestly, like, after you get through the campaign of like of a set area or that sort for it here, how often are you really going back there unless you need something from there?
Yeah,
like
that's I think that's my main argument about it.
Right.
When I see people get mad about it, but go ahead.
Right. And I'm with you on that. And like, but I mean, like, and they've already said that like what's going to happen with Spider here, like, even though that vendor's going away, the aspect of what Spider does here is going to be aired over to Rahul, and Rahul's going to have that aspect with the materials and that sort.
Right.
So, but that's my perspective. I'm okay with it. I just would like to see Bungie start to work towards something extra, something different, and maybe try to develop more of that MMO aspect in that regard, because I get where people were coming from and wanted to have some of the zones still available to them here for it. I don't think every zone needs to be here, but I am a little bit concerned about like how many destinations we're going to have and how this is going to keep changing and stuff like that there, especially like since we're not doing the sunsetting of inventory and that sort. How are we refreshing this? How are we supporting this? So I don't know. That's kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like you. I kind of agree with you.
Mhm.
Although I'm a bit more extreme about it. My reaction to Forsaken going away and Tangled Shores going away is, who the fuck cares? Like
Gotcha.
when I see someone getting very angry about it, oh, I paid for this thing. Like, how do you dare taking away the stuff I paid for? Like, my first reaction is, you've been playing D2 for 3 or 4 years since it came out.
Hmm. Right.
Honestly, realistically, how many times have you played the Forsaken campaign?
Mhm.
Max
Right.
3 times, once per character.
Mhm.
Max. I've played it. I did play it 3 times, one on each character.
Right. Right.
Maybe 4 if you're helping a friend who is just starting the game and you're helping him or her go through the story. Like,
Mhm.
realistically, I haven't touched Forsaken in 2 years.
Mhm.
The only time I go on Tangled Shores is when I need to go see Spider to buy some mats.
Right.
That's
It's
all it is.
right. That and for me, it's literally spider lost sectors. Like it's just because like I
Yeah,
have a particular lost sector that I like for farming.
right.
But
I,
you know what?
I do that scorn sector by spiders if I need to kill some scorns.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
That's it.
But but
Like, I haven't seen Sori's cut in so long, I don't even know what it looks like anymore.
Perhaps hive ship. What? Um.
Right?
Right. So I want to say this real quick here, just kind of touch on it, especially now that I have the thought of it here for it. So that argument about like, oh, I paid for this, I deserve to have this, right? So when I hear that conversation, when I hear that argument here for it, the first thing I think of is, what do you do about food?
Right?
You know, like so food is something you purchase, you consume in the moment, and then it's gone. But you'll pay anywhere from like $5 to $10 to $30 to $40 for a meal sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll enjoy that moment, you'll take it in, you'll eat it and everything else. It was great, it was fantastic. And then it's gone, you move forward,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So why can't that be the same way with DLC like this
Right.
here for it?
Yeah.
Like especially for the lengths of time that we're able to keep onto it here for it. Like yeah, like you played the hell out of it here. You got all the content out of it. You got the special ghost and sparrow and all these other exotics and shit like that. And thing is that like okay, that's now 2 3 years down the road here for it. You've well consumed everything that's out of it here. It's time to move forward.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
totally
it's
agree.
and that's the whole thing about it is that like that whole argument is like, do you want to have like? Well, I mean, I'm assuming some people probably would, but do you want
Of
to
course.
have like a buffet of food there that's just sitting there for you, and just consuming it the entire time? Like, is that really healthy? You
Right.
know?
Right.
So,
I agree.
but that's my whole argument about that is that like, yeah, I get it. Like we want it, like all of us like that whole concept of being able to own something, to have something there for it, right?
Mm.
But when it's just a service, like we're just consuming something that's being presented to us here for the moment,
Right.
we have to take it in that kind of concept. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's here just for like a week and it's gone, you know? It's here for months to years and then it's gone, you
Yeah.
know? Um not to derail too much for it here, but I want to make another comparison.
Yeah.
Um Genshin Impact, a gacha game, completely different from Destiny, but it is a service with a planned idea of expiring after 10 years. So meaning that there are people out here that are putting so much money into it and
Like
and wanting to
thousands
play
of dollars, right?
right, exactly,
Yeah.
ridiculous amounts of money here for it. And the thing is that like this service is going away in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
This game will be done. They will be moving forward. They'll go on to
Yeah.
develop something else here for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and people just don't take that into consideration. It's like, okay, you're enjoying a product of the time, you know, and that time does have an expiration.
Mm-hmm.
And when that comes, it's going to expire, you
Yep.
know. So don't if you're the type that wants to be able to consume, just realize that this may not be for you. If
Yeah.
that's the case, though,
That's
you
right.
know. Um, and I just again like that whole argument about oh god dang it.
uh,
Oh, this old bit
the drifter just vanished.
just keeps drifting.
Yeah, it's gone drifting. But yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree with you. And it's like it's true for Genshin and any kind of really kind of mobile games, whether it's gacha or not, right? Like
Mhm,
you see the whales in those games spend thousands of
mhm.
dollars in there,
Oh,
and then a few years down the line, the servers for that game just shut down because it's not
mhm,
sustainable or whatever. Or the game just doesn't, no, it's not
mhm.
supported or whatever. But like
Right.
that money is gone.
Mhm,
Is it a waste? Like
mhm.
that's kind of like a subjective argument if it's a waste or not. Like,
Right, right.
but like the way I look at it is, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy your time? Like
Mhm,
I've spent hundreds of dollars in Destiny, right?
mhm.
Maybe even more than that, but I'm not gonna talk about it.
Right, right.
Like I spent a lot of money in it, not just buying
Mhm,
expansion and stuff, but like in Eververse and whatever. And like
mhm,
we're getting Lightfall, and then another expansion in like 3 years from now,
mhm,
and then most likely a Destiny 3, probably I would
mhm.
assume, right?
Right,
Or
right.
something like that. I mean, who
Mhm,
knows? Maybe they're gonna keep it as Destiny 2, but more stuff. But like, let's say they're they're gonna make a Destiny 3, and then Destiny 2 is over. Am I gonna
mhm,
regret spending hundreds of dollars in the game?
mhm,
No, I'm not. Like,
mhm,
I'm gonna be okay with it because I spent that money, but I enjoyed what I got out of it.
mhm.
And
Exactly.
that's kind of how I look at Forsaken, right? First of all, nobody plays it anymore. Like, it's like who the hell cares? Nobody plays it.
Right, right.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, if you just joined the game like 3 weeks ago and you're enjoying Forsaken and you like Cade, I'm sorry.
Right.
But
Oh,
like realistically, most of the people playing the game and who have been playing the game for a while, they don't play
mhm.
Forsaken anymore. They don't go on Tangled Shores anymore.
Right,
So like,
right.
and I understand the argument. Oh, I paid for that, and they're removing
Mhm,
something I paid for. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I
mhm.
understand. I'm not saying it's wrong to think like that. It's not wrong
Right.
to think like that.
Oh,
But
no, right.
but
These are
I feel that you need to expand your mind a little bit and understand how things work. Because no, like you touched a bit on the aspect of the memory of space that the game is taking, and
mhm,
and so like that's a common argument, right? That's one of the reasons that Bungie said they were gonna do that because the game is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and if we keep everything, the game is gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we're gonna end up in a situation like Call of Duty where a game is 200 gigabytes,
mhm.
and we can't have that, right? It's just not good.
Right,
Like,
which, it's funny that you touch on that.
mhm,
It's funny that you touch on that, like, with things like Call of Duty and that sort of here, because, like, we're getting new versions of Call of Duty almost every single year.
every
You're
year.
dropping Right, you're dropping everything you invested into it and then going into another version of it
Yep.
every single year, you know? So, I mean, that's if you really want to talk about losses of, like, of money in that sort for it here, that's it right there. The fact that just like a new version of it coming out every single
Yeah.
year that's essentially got the same stuff right here is just that you're rebuying these things now.
Yep.
So, I mean, like,
Call of
it's a bit.
Duty, the FIFA
Mhm.
games, the
Yeah,
NFL
yeah.
games, like all
All
that type
sports
of
games.
all
Yeah.
sports games. Like they have yearly renditions of those games
Mhm,
that
mhm,
basically makes the previous years
mhm.
useless. So like
Right.
all that money you spent in FIFA Ultimate Team last year, well, too bad because you're gonna have to do it again next year.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's the whole thing about it is that, like, people will complain about, like, this business model of, like, things being expired after so much time and that's so for here. But then when you look at the business model of, like, other games, like, that do this whole, like, worse than vaulting, just like the whole, like, well, we're gonna cut down everything in this game, stop supporting it, and then we're gonna go ahead and just create the new game.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna focus on that. And whatever you had previously that you purchased for it, well,
Right.
tough luck.
Yeah.
And it's just and again,
Happens all the time.
it does. It really does.
Mhm.
And I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to that,
Yeah, I agree.
Um and that's kind of the whole argument that, like, there's some developers that are more considerate of here trying to do what they can, but again, they get limitations where they can't support certain things therefore and have to move forward.
Yeah.
Whereas you get other companies that just unfortunately just shove it down your throat for a year and I'm like, oh yep, you know what? Cut. Let's go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Shove this down next,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I agree.
And
And then
Mhm,
like so like to go back to it, like
mhm,
there's a limitation of space. So that was one of the
mhm,
arguments. Now everything is taking so much more space, and each new destination is taking that many gigabytes and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But someone brought that to me recently, actually, where like that makes no sense. Tangle Shores takes less than 3 GB in a hard drive, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what it means,
Right.
right? It's like, yes, the space and the memory, there's a literal meaning to it. It's 3 GB on your hard drive. That's fine. It's not huge. The
Mm-hmm.
whole install is like what, 50, 60 gigabytes. It's a
Mm-hmm.
small part of it. So like
Right.
if you
Right.
just think of it that way, it's like, yeah, why do you get rid of it?
Mm-hmm.
Making space for the game doesn't just mean removing some gigabytes from your hard drive so we can fill it up with something else. It also
Mm-hmm.
means making space for the game to breathe so we can bring in new stuff. Because what a lot
Right.
of people don't realize is that if we keep adding new destinations and new stuff to do, and we keep the old stuff all the time, for each new things that they bring in the game, each new weapon, each new perk, each new
Right.
armor set, anything new, they have to test that through
Mm-hmm.
all the old stuff to make sure that it
Right.
works. And we're at a
Mm-hmm.
point now in the game where every time we get new seasonal content or a new expansion, it's a meme that Bungie doesn't playtest their shit. Because shit's broken all the time. Like Stasis was broken, Telesto still is not fixed 7 years later. Like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine Telesto breaks every 3 months.
Yep.
So
It's
right? So like if we're getting a new destination or two every year, and we keep the old one, and we get a new gun like Telesto, they need to test it in all those places, which means that with each new things that they add, each new destination and each new story campaign and whatever that they add, it gives one more things to test it on.
Yep.
And like, we'll reach a point where it's just not possible anymore. And we've seen that. Like, we've seen some stuff get in the game, and then you bring it somewhere, especially in old destinations, and it just breaks. It just breaks
Yep.
completely. This is what happens. And to me, this is what making space means. It's like, we don't need Tangle Shores. Realistically, we don't need Tangle Shores. Am I sad that we're losing it? It's subjective. Some people really like it. I'm not hugely attached to it. We're losing the Hallowed Lair strike. I'm very happy about it. Because I hate this strike. But-
it's for me. It's the one sad thing, but you know why.
Yeah. Return the flavor.
Oh.
I'm the one who
Looks like
got
you
kicked
got
out this
kicked out.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Okay.
Okay. I'm still here. Yeah, I can still join. Okay. But yeah, this is what making space to me means. Like I'm not necessarily sad that we're losing Tangle Shore, because it's just like I'm trying to to put myself into Bungie's shoes at the same time I'm into the players' shoes, right? Bungie being Bungie, they don't have unlimited resources, and there's only so much they can do. And they've hired a lot of people, and we also know that the studio is working on a second IP, like aside from Destiny. Obviously, not the same developers. A lot of people start thinking that Destiny is gonna suck because they're gonna be more focused on their other game. This is not how a studio works. Okay, they have different teams for that. That's why they've been hiring like crazy. But are you shooting at me?
Yeah, I did. You saw nothing.
But shit, I lost my train of thought now. But whatever. Yeah, like I'm not sad about it. Like, I understand Bungie why they're doing it. I understand why some players are a little upset by it. But, and this is my next point, with Shadowkeep, with Beyond Light, we lost 4 planets. And earlier, like, I was like, Mars, Io, and Mercury, and I forgot Titan, right? You said Titan. This is my point. Who the fuck remembers about those planets? And who the fuck today is like, oh man, I miss Mercury. I wish I could go to Mercury now. Like, who the fuck does that?
Right, exactly, and that was gonna be my argument right there too for here because like towards the end of Mercury, right, and I'll say specifically Mercury because it is one of the tiniest little spaces in the entire game that was here. It had barely any relevance,
Hmm.
outside of the worst DLC that ever came out for the game.
Right.
And and the concept of like what it brought there, like with the Infinity Forest and stuff like that, there just kind of missed the mark, you know.
Yeah.
Um, it was just a terrible destination. Like they really had to, haul ass on like on the next expansion after that, and then finally Forsaken saved it.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, like I don't, I don't miss Mercury at all.
Yeah.
None. None at all. None at all. None at all. And like I I got to the point where I dreaded the goddamn music.
Yeah.
Just because like all the damn thoughts about like, okay, this is gonna take forever, strikes were long, fucking getting anywhere on the planet was long, even though it was a small space, you just couldn't travel that far anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was so grateful that they brought sparrows in for like a season. I'm like,
Right.
thank you.
For the
Thank
like
you, God.
for the last season that it was in the game. Oh, you can use a
Right.
sparrow now. It's like thanks, I needed that 2 years ago.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, no,
Like one
I agree,
uh
and that's the point. It's like those planets are gone, and there were some people that
mhm.
were sad about it. But
And mhm.
realistically, today, who misses those planets? Nobody does. And
Right.
this is exactly what is going to happen with Tangle Shore. Tangle
Mhm.
Shores is like okay, losing Forsaken. I understand is kind of sad.
Mhm.
When you consider the history of the game,
Mhm.
Forsaken is basically what saved Destiny 2, right?
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
Destiny 2 year one was not great, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And then Forsaken came in and just changed everything up, and we
Mhm.
got a great story. And so, like, I understand why people are sad. There's that nostalgia. This is, for some
Yeah.
people, when the game was at its best.
Mhm.
Like, I get it. But, it's, like, sentimentality aside, it's like,
Mhm.
when Tangle Shore is going to be gone, and then you're going to get the whole Throne world from
Mhm.
Serathun, and all those cool new things with Witch
Mhm.
Queen. I
Right.
can guarantee you, a year from now,
Mhm.
like, you're not even going to remember what Tangle Shores look like.
Yep.
You're not going to care.
Mhm.
Just the same way I completely forgot about Titan earlier,
Mhm.
right?
And I like the way that Bungie's actually balancing that because, like, I guarantee they haven't mentioned anything about it, but I guarantee that they're probably going to bring in another old space into the game to help alleviate the loss of another one here for it. Not just the
Right.
new space itself here for it, but they've already said that before that they're trying to rotate in like other
Yeah,
sources and that sort. So I'm anticipating like maybe a return to the Dreadnought because of the whole thing with Sabathun,
could be.
which
Because
which yeah.
we have to remember that with the Destiny content vault, the DCV, all of
Mhm.
Destiny 1 is in there.
Right.
All right? Even though
Hmm.
Destiny 1 technically is still playable now, and that's something we can talk about to kind of try and find a middle ground where people are
Hmm.
angry and some people like me don't really care. But like all of Destiny 1, although it's playable now, is in a DCV. That's how they were able to bring back VOG because it
Hmm.
wasn't there. So they were able to get access to it, rework it in a way that made sense for Destiny 2. And I agree with you. Like all the stuff they've taken away so far from Destiny 2, they can bring back later. And like you said, maybe they'll bring back the Dreadnought. That would make sense considering the Witch Queen, what's going on and everything, right?
Hmm.
Um, maybe who knows? Maybe they'll bring back Mercury just for you, like right?
Oh god, that nightmare. Um, but yeah, no, and I agree, and that's what I'm saying. Like I just like I feel like especially like what they intended to do. Like they've already said that they're gonna do like a rotation of raids, rotation of the dungeons. Like that sort of thing. Like and that's just another way they're gonna keep the content fresh for it here. And to do that, they need to make space.
Hmm,
I mean, like it's not like things are going away permanently either. Things are
right.
going to be brought back with a different face to it. Maybe something a little bit refreshed, a little bit new. So I think that's something that we just really need to kind of keep in mind as the consumer for this game is that really, yeah, we're losing stuff here for it. It does have sentimental value for nostalgia and that sort. But at the same time, we're still wanting new content. We still want
Yeah,
to consume, you
yeah,
know? And that's the thing about it. You just it's a compromise, but it's not a bad compromise. Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And especially when you consider, like, when you really go into the nitty gritty of it, right? It's like you lose
Mhm.
tangle control, you lose 2 strikes,
Mhm.
including, arguably, and it's just my personal opinion, one of the worst strikes in the game. The Fnatic, I hate this strike so much. So I'm not sad that it's going away. Um, but like, I mean, that aside, like if you look just at the content itself, in Tangle Short,
Mhm.
there isn't much to do. You have like 3 lost sectors, you have those 2 strikes, you have the bit of Forsaken, which
Mhm.
if you want to play Forsaken today, you don't even get the full Forsaken. You just get the missions from Forsaken. Like you don't get like the
Mhm.
whole experience like it was at release.
Mhm.
Like to be clear, so like
Mhm.
there's those things, and so we're losing that. And then
Mhm.
instead, we're getting a whole new location with
Mhm.
whole new enemy types,
Mhm.
new lost sectors, a new
Mhm.
raid,
Mhm.
all those things. It's like the only piece of content that I'm kind of sad we're losing in Tangle Shores is the Presage mission,
Mhm.
because I really really enjoy this mission. Oh, we're also losing Harbinger, by the way, and that's another thing.
Ah,
That's another
gotcha.
thing I'm not sad about. We're losing Harbinger, even though Harbinger is on the EDZ, but it's because it's part of a quest that takes place on the Tangle Shore, right? So this is why we're losing Harbinger. But uh, I hate this mission. And the mission itself is not bad, but just the last boss is terrible. But whatever. So like I'm kind of sort of losing Presage, but at the same time, like we're getting a whole new dungeon with the 30th anniversary coming up.
Mhm.
And they have said that we're gonna get a new dungeon or a new raid with basically every 3 months,
Mhm.
right? Coming like moving forward, starting with Witch Queen, which is insane,
Yes. I
right?
mean, considering how much content that is by itself, yes, that is completely insane.
Right? So it's like we're losing one destination that nobody goes on anymore. Like,
Mhm.
I dare anybody watching this tell me when was the last time you got to do a heroic public event on the Tangle Shores?
Right.
I want to know. You're losing that, and you're getting all that
Oh
shit
man.
instead,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's
Right.
that's that's kind of how I look at it.
I like it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on it. I mean, I just I don't, nostalgia only carries you so far,
Yeah, yeah,
and like you have to innovate, you have to move forward, you have to, think for here. Like again, think of you as the player for a moment here, just like in your perspective of it here for it. Do you want to keep going to visiting the same thing you've done over and over and over, or do you want a new adventure? You know,
yeah,
and thing about it is that most cases, most people are going to be like, okay, I want the new thing. You
yeah,
know, it's you know, I don't again. I get why people are upset, you know, but I think there's bits of the argument here for where they're contradicting themselves.
yeah.
Like I go back to the again to that concept of like food,
Hmm.
like you buy something like through to like a delivery service, you sit down and eat it for it here. You spent maybe like 40, $50 on it here for it, but then after 30 minutes of you consuming that here for it, it's gone. It's
Yeah.
completely gone. It's
It's
out of your
gone.
life.
That's right.
You know, it only
Or
comes back in one way, and you don't want it to come back that way.
or
But
or you go watch a movie at the theaters. You spend $20 there, and it's gone.
exactly. Right. Or you go on vacation, you go visit someplace here for like 2 weeks or something like that, It's the moment, the
Yeah,
experience, the what you feel throughout that time, And that's what I think people are forgetting is that they're considering it more like an item you keep,
mm.
and it's just like that's not the case here,
Yeah,
It's more like this.
yeah.
And the thing is that the biggest benefit to you is that it lasts longer than 30 minutes or
Right.
like a day or two or like a whole like month of like traveling or whatever. It's more than that, you
Yeah,
experience that for a long period of time before it goes away. So, and by the time it's done, unless you were doing something else here for it, you should have consumed that content, that experience,
yeah,
and that's the whole thing. I mean, like even now, like I love the fact that like Bungie even said that like with the going way of like Forsaken, they're still allowing you like that last month or so of just people who haven't had it. They're like, hey, it's free for this month. Go do it,
Right.
experience it, have fun. It's like even for the newer people, you're gonna get that experience here for it if you just have the time for it. If you just
Yeah.
set some time aside, just go do it real quick. Hey, cool.
Yeah.
Get it done.
I agree.
And
But
that's
to be fair, I do wish that that part of it was done a little better from Bungie.
delivery was definitely could have been better.
Like, the
Yeah.
delivery could have been a little better, and I think they should have set it up better. I think
Mhm.
I think they should have announced it earlier. They should have announced it way earlier. Like they should have announced it around the same time as they did Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
didn't because the plans were not completely finished. Like maybe that's what it is. But
Possibly. Yeah.
like I've seen some posts online of people who literally spent $25 to buy Forsaken, and then it was announced 2 days later that it was going away and it was going to be free for the last month. So those people were not super happy about it, and I get it.
Right.
I understand.
Right.
So in that aspect, I wish Bungie had done it a little differently. Maybe get it delisted from the store, so you couldn't buy it at least for a while until they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they announce it, it's not free yet. It's gonna be free for like the last month or whatever of the season, right, or something like that. Like starting in December, I think. I can't remember, but so
Yeah, like December, January.
right? So it's not free yet, but like after they announce it, and maybe they can make like a little post on the store page or whatever. But like, after they announce it, if you still want to buy it, well, that's on you. But for the people who literally just bought it, and then Bungie was like, oh yeah, by the way, that's going free next month. Like I understand, kind of like being angry. So
Yeah.
that
that's
doesn't
definitely rough.
like that doesn't have anything to do with the removal of content itself. It's kind of like a side thing, but
Mm.
yeah,
It's definitely something that we want to see them actually do better next time for here. Like when it gets to the point, for example, like when Shadowkeep gets removed,
right.
maybe there needs to be a little bit more traction there for here than what it was for this here for Forsaken.
Yeah,
Like I could see them doing a thing like what you mentioned here, like as they're explaining about the expansions here for it, maybe have the prep to say like, oh hey, we're gonna be taking away this content for it here. We've taken it out of the stores for now for it here, but in that last month or so for it here, we're gonna let you have it for free.
yeah,
Maybe do something like that there for it. Like maybe
yeah,
next time when they come up with the next trailer for the
yeah, right,
Quest,
yeah. Just
yeah, for Lightfall. Yeah.
say it like straight up, right? And again, maybe they hadn't finalized all the plans for it. Maybe they were not 100% sure that this was going away because Forsaken is going away, but the Dreaming City is staying, right? Dreaming City
Right,
and the Last
right.
Wish raid are staying, and technically they were part of the Forsaken expansion. So like it's not. I guess technically it's not the whole Forsaken expansion that goes away. It's a Forsaken campaign and the Tangrel Shores destination. But like, so maybe they hadn't decided about that, right? Maybe they weren't sure if Dreaming City was gonna stay or not until the week before they announced it. Who knows? Like we don't really know what happened and how they operate. But I do hope that when it comes time for Shadowkeep to go away, which is inevitably gonna happen, it's probably gonna be the next one. I do hope that they announce it way earlier, and that they take some measures to kind of like prevent people being unhappy. Like I feel like honestly, like paying $20 or $25 for Forsaken today, that feels a little steep to me for something that's like 2 or 3 years old, right? So like maybe they need to cut the prices of the expansions like way down, like give it for like $5 or $10, right? And then so if someone buys the expansion for like $5 or $10 and then like 3 weeks later, fuck.
I jumped out this time. Okay, hold on. But
Oh, you did?
but no, it kicked me out that time.
It kicked me out too.
Did you go to Orbit 2 or?
Yeah,
I did. Oh,
we both got kicked out. But yeah, so like I hope like maybe they can do something like slash the prices of those expansions, right? Earlier.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Just so so it doesn't feel as bad if you end up buying it. If you're new to the game and you end up buying it, and then soon after it's been announced that it's gonna go free for a while, so it doesn't hurt as bad. Because I do feel like spending $25 right now for Forsaken feels a little bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Like like I could see them doing like a time tier type thing here for it. Like
Hmm.
during the first year, it's this much here for it. During the second year, it's this much. During the third and final year, it's then this much.
Right, right.
Something like that there. Which it wouldn't completely alienate everybody for it here, and I think Bungie could do well to do that for it here to kind of at least benefit the customers more.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah,
Um, but yeah, that was those are our thoughts on the DCV and stuff being taken away. Some people are very unhappy about it. Some people don't care too much. Oh, last thing I want to kind of touch on real quick. We'll do it super quick.
sure.
In terms of middle ground, okay. Some people are very unhappy that this is going away because they paid for it. I understand. Some people like me literally don't give a fuck because we don't even play that content anymore.
Right.
Right? I do feel there's a middle ground. I feel that, and I'm gonna show it on the screen right now. Let me make it big.
Okay.
On the director, there is this Legends node, right? Right now it's only Vault of Glass, and the flavor text for Legends is legacy raids, dungeons, and other past content. I feel that the middle ground could be, and again, I'm not a game developer, so I don't know how hard that would be to do that. But a good middle ground for me would be anything that's being vaulted could be put in there.
Yep.
Right? And what I mean by that is that, let's say, Forsaken campaign and Tangled Shores get vaulted. So they're not showing on the main director anymore because they're not part of the main story anymore. But you can find it in that legend stuff. And when you go in there, you find those locations and that campaign in the last state they were in before they were removed. So like those places are not gonna get updated. Those places are not gonna drop the new loot. Those places are not available for like farming bounties or whatever. Right? Like they're literally not part of the game. And I'd go even further. I'd be like, those places should be downloadable separately from the game. If you want them, you can download it. If you don't want it, you don't have to download it. This way you can choose whether you want it to take the space or not on your hard drive. But they're not attached to the main game. So like nothing's happening there. Only whatever was happening at the time they were vaulted. I think that would be a good middle ground for it.
You know what? It's not a bad idea, and again, it accommodates for those who want the nostalgia.
Yeah.
But then also it helps keep the game from like having to deal with like again like old content coming back in to impact the new content.
Yeah.
And
it's like
so yeah.
And again, because like it wouldn't be linked to the main game. There would be nothing to gain from being there. Again, like aside from like you said, nostalgia. It's like you enjoy, you enjoy running around those things and doing the lost sectors and those things. You can go there. You're not gonna get anything. Like nothing's gonna drop out of the chest, or like stuff is gonna drop out of the chest, but it's not something you're gonna be able to use, right?
Right.
Like either you drop everything at 1100 power and you don't allow it to be like infused or whatever. Like you find some ways around like around that. So literally the only reason to go there is because you just want to go there and you want to mess around with your friends or whatever. And and then the devs wouldn't have to test the new stuff on there. Whatever's coming new in the game, like in actual game, if you bring it to those places and it breaks over there, well, tough luck. It's just broken. Doesn't work there. Whatever. Who cares, right? I think that would be a good middle ground. And again, if it gave you the choice on whether you want to install those locations or not, that would be even better. I don't know how feasible it is. I'm not a game developer. I don't know if it's realistic of me to think of it that way. But I mean, why not?
Right. No, I mean it's a good concept. I like it. I like it, and again, I can see the value in it for it here. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, again, we're not developers. We don't know the inside ins and outs of it. Here for it, we can only go based on like our own experiences, and perspective that we have currently.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it feasible? We don't know, but it's not a bad concept. I mean, it is a nice compromise for it here. I think the way Bungie's gonna do it though based on like how they're talking about it here for it, is that their intent is to just try to kind of recreate and recycle some of the content as it comes about and make it fresh by just using the assets that are already there, you know. Kind of like what they did with the EDZ.
Right.
Um, where basically it still has a lot of the old stuff that was there that we're familiar with, um, but there's some refreshing and stuff that was done here for it, like the new vendor, you know, some of the introductory storylines that were involved into it here for it, the kind of slight reshaping of what it is strike there for it.
Right. On
Um,
Cosmodrome, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like, so there's like I imagine that's kind of their that's kind of their testing ground more or less is to see like how this is approached,
Yeah.
and then eventually they're going to start reintroducing other stuff there with more revamp to it. You know, like I could say like that like with the moon, for example, too, for it here, like the revamps that they did to that, the additions they made to that there for it. So I kind of think of like concepts like that there. Like we're probably going to see again an old location come back in, get redone, and then that sort. And then eventually, as the series progresses and goes through for it here, we may start to see some of those old worlds that we were at previously here for it, like Io or
Mm.
like Titan and that sort, and then have them reshaped. Like I think the rumor mill was that the one of the ones that they were thinking about bringing back would be Mars, but instead of being like the Mars that we had in D2, it'd be the Mars we had in D1.
Okay.
I think that was a constant. That was a rumor that was going around for a while there. Um, but I mean, I could totally see it.
Yeah.
I could see that being like redone and revamped and going back to that, you know, going back to those areas and that sort.
And
Um,
that would make sense as well. I feel that would be a good way to do it, especially
mhm,
for those locations that used to have a spot in D1, like Mars. I don't know if there's
mhm,
many locations that are like that, but Cosmodrome is one. Stuff like that. I think that would be a good way to do it. Like considering, what happens in the story, basically
mhm.
Rasputin is gone. He's not there anymore. Rasputin is
Right,
like in a Tamagotchi on the tower right now.
right.
Um, so like we
Mhm.
could bring that back. Like we don't need like and again, no, I'm not don't work at Bungie, so like I don't know what the story is gonna be like, but
Right,
like
right.
we don't need Mars the way we know it in V2. Like
Mhm,
the whole war mine and all that stuff. Like we don't have a use for that anymore because when we know Rasputin is
mhm,
not there anymore. We know Rasputin got his
mhm,
ass kicked, and
mhm.
so do we need to go back in those specific areas? I don't think so. And so I think
Right.
bringing back the D1 Mars and do
Mhm,
something fresh and new with it would be a good way to
mhm.
go.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, and again, like there's this whole concept again that like after what comes up here for it here, I mean, we still have the rest of space here for it, so we don't have to keep just within the solar system.
Right.
There's the other aspect of like moving outward and further, you know, especially with the concept like some of the bigger bads that are just kind of looming in the background right now at this point.
Mm.
Um, so, but yeah, I feel like that you know there's a lot that could be done for it here, a lot of potential, you know, and then again, Bungie has already said the intent of like trying to recycle things here for it. I honestly feel like what they're probably going to do, and this is just speculation again. No, I have no insights or whatever. But I would imagine one of the things that they might do is that once they get all of the content from D1 in rotation, like it's in some form of rotation or into the vault, more or less, that they're probably going to shut down D1, and there's only going to be a Destiny 2. Is what I'm thinking is going to happen in the future at some point.
And it would make sense, right? If
Hmm.
only from a technological point of view, right? Because
Hmm.
D1 runs on like the 360 PS3 era,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
like most people do play it on the Xbox One and PS4 now, but
Hmm.
it was from that era, PS like it's 360 PS3,
Hmm.
and yeah, I feel like it would make sense, right? I mean, no,
Hmm.
it's old, it's an old generation of hardware, and as we progress, and the people are gonna be moving towards the PS5 and the Series X consoles.
Hmm.
I'm excluding PC because PC is usually evolving with times, like that.
Hmm.
That makes sense. But like, yeah, it would make sense to me that they would basically shut down the one, and kind of like that's a lot of people are gonna be very very mad when that happens.
Right.
Very very mad. But again, how many people are really playing D1?
Right.
Like, I don't play D1. I've never played D1. Like, full disclosure. So like maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Okay. But I've seen some people online saying that they wanted to go back in D1 and they've been in queue for like 20 minutes trying to find some players to play with.
Yep.
Like, so like, people are going to complain that D1 is gone. I get you. I understand. But like we said earlier, maybe it's time to move on. And it's like you were saying earlier, like, and you know that about me. Even though we're both a little older, so like, you find a lot of people from our generation are very, very attached to what they grew up with, right? Considering the times we live in. Nostalgia is a big thing, and nostalgia sells a lot. I'm of the opinion that nostalgia is just a waste of time. Like, honestly, don't get me wrong.
I can understand it. I can understand.
No, there are some stuff from way back then that I still love and I still enjoy. Like, do I enjoy going back to some old video games that I grew up with? Sure, why not? But I'm not living there, right? Like, we're in 2021, it's time to move on. Like, I'd rather look at what I have now and I'd rather look forward than keep my eyes behind me and be like, oh, it was better back in the day. Now everything sucks. Like, just not get on with your life. Like, you have to evolve with your time. Like, nostalgia is one thing. It's okay to love the stuff you grew up with and to love the old school stuff. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if that's all you're looking at, if you keep looking behind you and you're only looking behind you, you're literally missing what's right in front of you and what's coming for you. And that's why for me nostalgia has basically like almost no impact on me. Like, I don't buy shit for nostalgia. I mean, occasionally I do. Don't get me wrong. Again, there are some things that I really enjoy, and I will buy or I will play once in a while. Like when Nier Replicant came out, which was a remaster of the first Nier game. Did I buy it right away? Yeah, sure, of course I did. But it's like, because I love the game, and that's okay. But like, this is not just all I'm looking forward to. Like, one of the games I'm really excited for that's coming up soon is Forza Horizon 5. Because even though I play mostly shooter games, I do love me some Forza Horizon games. That's like the one racing game that I really, really love. And I played all of them since the first one on the 360 way back then. Like, and I played the shit out of Forza Horizon 4 when it came out 2 years ago. Like, I still think that Forza Horizon 2 and 3 were probably the best of the 4 that we've had so far. Doesn't stop me from looking forward for Forza Horizon 5 and be super excited for it. No. Do I still play Forza Horizon 3 and 2 once in a while? Sure. Yeah. Why not? But like, I'm not losing track of what's coming in front of me just because there's some stuff that I enjoyed behind me, right? Anyway,
it's definitely it's definitely a perspective that I like to try and keep nowadays as well for here, just in general. I mean, just you can't keep looking back at the stuff that's already come and gone. You can learn from it. You can still like feel the experience from it and stuff like that there for it. But at the end of the day, it's about what's in front of you and about what's coming up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not to get too philosophical with it, but but in gaming, I mean, it's what we all want. We all have those things about like things in the past that we enjoy, and it's okay to visit them and enjoy those memories again. But at the end of the day, I mean, we want something new, something exciting, something like that there, and it's okay to move forward. And I just, and that's the thing I look at it here, like going back to like what we're talking about with Destiny and just any game in general, honestly, is that you got to look forward to the new, know. As long as the company is treating it right and presenting it right for it here, then there should be no problem. And I feel that like when it comes to Bungie's specific model here, I think what they're doing is right, and I feel like it's going to get better.
I agree. Definitely agree. And again, nothing wrong with thinking that some of the stuff from before were better. Nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But what you have to do if you think that way is how do you move on from that? Okay, what have you
Right.
learned from that? And it's for us as players, and it's also for the developers, especially for a game like Destiny, right? You see a lot of people in the community being like, "Oh, D1 was better because of this and because of that, and D2 sucks
Mhm.
because it doesn't have this or it doesn't have that." And it's like,
Mhm.
but oh, you got kicked out again. It's like, but D2 is not D1, okay? Hopefully, and no, again, subjective. It depends on your point of view, but
Mhm.
hopefully the developers have learned from what was successful and not successful from D1 and
Right.
from early D2, and hopefully they've learned from that. So whatever they make for the future will
Mhm.
use those good things from the
Mhm.
past and hopefully get rid of the bad things and give us something great.
Right.
That's how you
Exactly.
have to look at it. Now, whether they actually deliver on that, it's another matter. You know, only the
Right.
future can
Right.
tell. We'll figure it out when we get there. And then if it sucks, well, all those watching us hardcore D1 vets who think that D1 was better, well, you can tell me I told you so. Oh, I got kicked out now. Like, you,
I'm greeting you.
yeah. Um, but yeah, nostalgia is okay to have. It's okay to be fond of what you had before and kind of like revisit those memories. But there's a point where you need to kind of look forward. That was, I think that was the good lesson of the day.
Right. Right.
Right. All right. Before we go, is there anything that, like, real quick, is there anything in particular that you would really like to see in the game?
For me,
Yeah.
um,
Like
whew,
whether right now or like something that you'd like to see in the future. Like, is there
hmm,
any aspect of the game that you think Bungie hasn't tried yet, or maybe they've something they've tried to do but haven't quite executed properly? Maybe something you wish they could improve on.
hmm,
If you have nothing, that's okay too. If you just like the game the way it is, there's nothing wrong with that.
hmm. Um, like I mentioned before, I would like to see some sort of compromise when it comes to the vaulting of content and the expansion of content here for it as well. Like I mentioned earlier here for it with the whole MMO aspect, right?
Mm.
I do feel that there should be some need to expand upon it a little bit more so and make it more universal for everybody here instead of just relying on everybody's equipment to be able to support what they have.
Right.
So I would like to see some sort of progression towards that eventually at some point. Um, because again, I feel as an MMO, there needs to be that back end support that helps support it here rather than us relying on our systems so much here to be able to support the content.
Right.
Um, if, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, But as far as what's here for, I mean, that's really my only real gripe. Really, is just I just want to see that, and I feel like that might be part of what they're looking to do. It's just based on like some of the things that they said in the past. Their idea of Destiny is far different than what they have current. You know,
Mm.
and I feel like it's as we go through the next 2 years for it here, we're going to see some progression in ways that we're probably not thinking about right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but that being said, there's really not much more that I would want out of Destiny outside of what they're already talking about and doing with the expansion and what they're doing right now.
Okay.
You know, fact that they got the anti-cheat in there now for it here. They've got like some level of matchmaking that they're going to work with more matchmaking towards more of the PvP content to help alleviate some of the issues there. The fact that they're going to bolster up some of the Vanguard content by mixing in like other
Mm.
content from the rest of the seasons
That's
into it,
true.
so it
Yeah.
makes sense,
We didn't
right?
we didn't talk about
Um,
that, but yeah.
yeah. The only other thing that I would probably think of, now that I'm thinking about it here for it, is just, God damn it, let's get some fucking Gambit content in here.
That was the point. That was the point I was gonna bring up. Yes, that was the
I want to
point.
see you people bang some more moats.
Right? It's like what the hell is going on with Gambit?
Right,
Nothing. That's what's going on with Gambit.
right. It's like the one season happened, everybody complained, but it got shot down. It got
Yeah.
shot down further. It's like it's just beating the dead horse, and now it just sits there. It's like, oh, hey, it's a playlist, but we don't do shit for it.
Right?
It's like,
Yeah,
It's like, come on.
like okay,
Like, seriously.
like I've come to a point where I absolutely despise Gambit.
Hmm.
You know, at a time where everybody was hating on Gambit, I was like, oh, I love me some Gambit. Let's go play some Gambit. Remember?
Right. It was
Like,
great. I remember.
we used to log in there like 2 or 3 times a week, like spend a couple hours in Gambit, having so much fun.
Hmm.
And then season of the Gambit happened,
Hmm.
and that was it.
Yep. And then they try to bring it back to some form of like in between, but I feel like it's weaker now than it
Yeah,
was before.
yeah.
Because it's just you got content where it's like it's there's levels of difficulty and like and skills needed for it here that they're just not being conveyed. It's literally go in, get your 3 matches, get a pinnacle. Gone for the week.
Literally, like
Literally.
I was in it yesterday. I went in Gambit
Mhm.
yesterday. The only reason I went in there, I don't even need the pinnacle. Okay, I like
Mhm.
everything drops at 1330 for me now. Like at least all the powerfuls and primes and everything. Like so,
Right,
I'm the max base. I don't need to go in Gambit. I went in there because I made the mistake of picking up a freaking Gambit bounty from Eva. That goddamn bounty. Play a match of Gambit while wearing a mask. I was like, God damn it! I paid 1,000 glimmer for it. I gotta do it now. So I went in Gambit. And I was like, well, I'm in here, so I'll just do the 3, right? Whatever.
Hmm. Right.
Oh, that was such a waste of my time for 20 minutes, dude. Like, I don't like
Here-
it. Like, it's so annoying. Like, I don't know what it is with it. Like, I can't pinpoint what went wrong with it. So, first of all, like, the matchmaking is terrible. Like,
Mhm.
it's always a stomp, one way or the other. It's either you're on the team that stomped the other one and you've killed the primeval before the other guy even, like, was able to summon one, or it's the other way around. You get destroyed for some reason. Like there is no more of those like really tight games that we're catching up. We're not like if someone invades. Oh shit! We killed 2 of them. Now we have a chance. Like that doesn't happen anymore. It's like I don't know. I don't know if it's the matchmaking or what. And then
Right, I agree.
like you said, they updated it where they kind of like made a mix of old Gambit and Gambit Prime, right? It's like to make the games go faster. Like I can appreciate that. It's only 1 round. I get it. That's really cool. I actually like that better.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you go in a director,
Mhm.
you go in Crucible, especially right now there is trials. Usually there's Armband on the other side there. Look at that. 2, 4, 5. There's like 8 nodes.
Mhm.
8 things to do. Right?
Right.
It's like
Right.
you don't like Rumble, you don't like elimination, like whatever, just have some fun in Team Squash, right?
Right. I agree.
Right?
I agree.
You go in Vanguard, you have the Rigor Strikes, Battlegrounds, Nightfall, Grandmaster Nightfalls, you got shit to do. Shit to get. And like they're gonna mix Vanguard Strikes and Battlegrounds into one place for next season, which to me makes sense, considering that we've
Still makes
lost,
sense.
right? Because we lost a lot of strikes when they vaulted all those planets.
Mhm.
And so adding those battlegrounds, which are essentially mini strikes anyway, to me makes sense. And then you go in Gambit.
Mhm.
There's one little sad node in the middle there. Gambit 4v4 competitive co-op. I don't know, man. There's literally nothing to gain from this thing. The challenge for this week.
Mhm.
That's the only one I didn't get this week.
Mhm.
Display of Authority. Acquire the Gambit ornament for Ascendancy. You know what my rank is right now in Gambit? I think I'm like rank 8 or 9.
Mhm.
If I want that ornament, I need to reset my rank once and then go back to rank 16.
Yep.
I have 4 months to do it. I don't know if I'll be able to. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to do it.
Right.
I don't think... I need to check on the challenge last one. I don't think I got the one from last season from Gambit. I don't remember. I might have. But yeah. So that's my thing. That's the thing I hope that something will happen with it. It's Gambit. Because right now I hate it. I hate spending time in it. There's nothing to gain from it. Aside from like a golf ball, if you reset once, it's like, yay, I guess. Like I can just go do a couple of nightfalls and get some golf balls like that. I have more fun doing that. So yeah, I really hope that they do something for Gambit, which is a good timing for us because you are dressed up as a drifter right now.
Right.
Again, for those watching us, like I'm hating on Gambit, like I hate on a lot of things, but we used to like, especially you and I, right, with Rich and the people, like we used to like spend so much time in Gambit. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Like we're both Dredgens. You're a Dredgen, I'm a Dredgen, even though I'm not wearing it right now. Like we have so many Dredgens in the clan, right? Like we spend so much time in there, and like we're at a point for the last almost a year and a half now where it's just each new season it becomes worse and worse, and it's the fact that they keep vaulted content and removing maps from Gambit, where we're at a point there's like 3 maps in Gambit right now, I think.
Yeah,
I
mean it's
Mars
it's terrible.
Like literally, the only maps I play on is freaking Mars and Titan.
Yep.
Which is funny because it's 2 planets that have been vaulted.
Right, exactly. And it's like there's so much that could be done to easily make new maps here with the new content that we've seen. Like I would love like a Europa map. I would love like maybe like another kind of Dreaming City map here that's different from the previous one that they took away.
Yeah.
Maybe something with the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that could be done for it here, and nothing's being touched. And and I go back over the other content that gets complaints, that gets updates and stuff like that there, and I'm like, where's Gambit?
Yeah.
They just it's like literally like felt like nobody cares about it, and it's just like boop. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people were complaining that PvP hasn't had any updates for a long time, which is fair because it's also true. Nothing really had happened in PvP for a long time until the Trials rework. Well, first until the introduction of Trials, which went as well as you would expect. And then
pretty much
since the Trials rework, which went a lot better, especially since the introduction of the Battle Eye anti-cheat, which is not perfect, it has some issues, but like it makes it a lot more tolerable, like a lot fewer cheaters, at least in my experience. Although I did get a cheater in Team Scorch the other day that made me laugh so hard. I was cracking up so hard. I wish I had recorded it. I had my shadow play turned off, so at least I couldn't record it. But yeah, for those watching us, I was playing a game of Team Scorched earlier because I was doing my pinnacles. And I had a cheater in Team Scorched. Like, that just blew my mind. Like, I didn't know, like, why, of all modes, you're gonna cheat in Team Scorch? It's like I'm shooting 4 times at you and you're not dying. And no, it could be no regs, it could be no registration hits. But when you have, like, 3 other people on my team shooting at you and you're not dying, like, clearly something's happening. Like, why? But anyway, like, that made me laugh so hard. Like, I couldn't even be mad. I was like, dude, this guy has some balls. He's cheating in Team Scorch. But,
oh Lord.
But anyway, like, a lot of people are not complaining that PvP didn't get any love for a long time, which is fair because it is true. But then on the other side, you have Gambit, who has literally had nothing. Like, actually nothing. All it got was shit removed from it. And I don't know if it's that like, I don't even know if Bungie is motivated to do anything with Gambit. That's my problem. It's because like we're at a point where, like, most people don't even care at Bungie. I don't know the numbers. I don't know if there's a way to check the numbers to see how many people actually are playing Gambit. But I can imagine it's that many. Like, every time I queue for Gambit, it takes me 5 minutes to find a game. Right? So, like, is Bungie really wanting to do something for it? Like, are they just trying to let it die slowly and silently? Like, and then one day they're gonna be like, well, nobody's playing anymore, so we're just removing it, and people are gonna be like, eh. Like, is that the plan?
It's hard.
I know, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's so hard to say. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to do more with it here because it's such a unique mode, and
It really
like,
is.
yeah. And I think we need I think that concept of like like PvPvE, I
Yeah.
think it's what it's called.
Yeah.
I think we need to have more of it. Like, and I think that kind of competitive like type aspect, but in an environment that's not just go kill this or go capture zone or, that sort. Like, I think would be great. Like
Right.
I constantly see like a kind of like in my mind like an idea of like a kind of like a Logan's Run type thing where basically you have to you have like a maze like thing that you have to go through and have to compete against another team for it and stuff like that there, and like I could see concepts like that taking place, and like it sounds fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really do hope that they will get something back in it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's my one. My one. I want to say hope, but that may be a little too big of a word for it at this point.
Right.
But yeah, I hope they do something about it, because it would be really sad. Like, to me, it would feel like a waste if that went away. And again, no, if that's what needs to happen for the game, then that's what needs to happen for the game. If it needs to be removed or replaced for something else for the health of the game, then maybe that's what needs to happen. But if there's a way to do something better with it, I hope they find it.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. On this, I think we've been at it for like 2 hours.
Woo!
That was a long episode. Anyway, I think it's a good way to end it here. Anyway, thanks you for watching, everybody who did. Where can we find you? All over the social medias.
At _K-Meepus, at both Twitch, Twitter, pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere.
Right, and you can find me on at FSatPorte everywhere on social media: Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, not yet, soon, maybe. My old MySpace might be there still, I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If there is some type of stuff you'd like us to see talk about, don't hesitate to leave that in the comments below. If you have any ideas or suggestions, you can do that as well. And if you want to see more of that kind of stuff, we have an episode of the Roundtable coming up soon. I don't have the date yet, but it's coming up very soon, probably in a couple of weeks or so. So stay tuned for that if you want to make sure you don't miss it. Subscribe, hit the bell, and all those things. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.